Internet. I didn't mean to hit that button twice, but I did. Hello, welcome to Popcorn Chicken episode. I don't know, but we're talking about episode 11 of Andor, the Star Wars show that is on Disney Plus and soon to be on ABC and a bunch of other TV stations that I think Disney owns all of them. So it's actually not that much of a stretch that they're putting it on. But anyway, we're going to talk about Andor. Here's Alvin and here's Nathan.
Yo.
Yeah, so I guess first thing, they announced that they're putting also to
Why bore more people around the world?
No, this is, I think, the perfect for the everyman, for people who have never seen a Star Wars
and will never see afterwards.
This is the perfect one because it's just like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, he's a criminal. He shot cops. Now he's in trouble, and you're like, fuck, okay. But he's a good guy, and he's from this thing, and and there's space Nazis. Okay, who's this person? Oh, they're a senator. Okay. And that's all you need to know. There's no like, oh, this guy's been in 37 episodes of this, so that's how you need to know this guy. Who's this guy? He's a jihadist. Oh, okay. Fuck, cool. Who's this guy? He's super shady. Oh, okay, cool. That's all you need to know. So I think like, as far as like Disney, here's our cards. Here's our capability of writing and storytelling. Again, this is, and I know Elvin, your main gripe with this show is that it doesn't feel that Star Wars-y. You don't get the space wizards. You don't get the space opera and all the things that Star Wars is known for. While I agree with that, it does not have a lot of those things, or any of them, rather.
It's more than that, though.
No, I'm saying, but that's a big thing off the bat.
It's majority of the things, yeah.
Yeah. But as far as just like a cohesive story and it starting and going all the way through and telling its story and doing it well, and like, it's a very well constructed thing. And the fact that Disney's just like, this is the one that we want people to see. Like, they're putting their best foot forward. Out of all the shows, again, Mandalorian I still love, but that one requires a lot of previous knowledge. That one everyone loves because the cameos are so well placed and they make sense. But again, that one requires a lot of prior knowledge. This, you drop in, you understand this guy's down on his luck and he killed cops and now he's in trouble. Fuck. And then you're like, okay, I'm invested.
Nathan, how do you feel?
Do you know what? I think the show is, it obviously it is different. It's trying to be a lot more adult-like. It's not catering to a younger Star Wars audience, which you really get that impression right off the very first couple minutes in the first episode. But because of that, it also gets rid of some of that romanticism that you see in Star Wars, which that admittedly does kind of paint the picture of what Star Wars is. However, we can't always get that, and it's nice to get something that feels a bit more realistic, especially since Star Wars has gone in the direction of, the good guys are always going to win. They kind of build up the main characters in a way that they can just make merch off of them, which is something that I've found quite annoying. So it's nice to see a character that you look at and you're like, okay, Disney's not going to try and sell this guy to kids because he's just murdered a bunch of people in cold blood. And if they do, it's a little messed up.
Going back to the Disney roots.
Yeah. But for me, this show is a more mature, and I don't mean like this show's only for adults. I just mean Star Wars has grown up a little bit from how we've it's grown. Yes. And especially if you love kind of the thrillers or spy movies, this is a good way to get into Star Wars for someone that's new. There's no characters that you need to know beforehand. There are some that you can know beforehand that Star Wars fans will recognize and will like to see. But really, it's actually, I think, a good place for beginners into Star Wars that are already adults that find this sort of thing interesting. It's a good segue.
Also, people who watch TV are old people. So, like, having a little, like, interesting sci-fi spy thriller is something that, like, old white people would fucking watch. And like that's pretty much all who watches TV, like regular cable ass TV now. It's just like old boomers. So like they don't give a shit about some fucking space knight who has a little green alien thing. If they're just like, oh, here's this rugged guy who's on the run from the police. Whoa, that's it. Oh, there's a senator. Well, she's mighty pretty. So
this is the Game of Thrones of Star Wars.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Beginning of podcast. Cheers.
Clanky.
Cheers.
What are we all drinking?
I'm drinking a Pilsner.
I'm drinking Blue Monkey. Not a sponsor, but they're
Yet.
local. So if you're listening to us or watching us by any chance, Blue Monkey, we love your drink. And let's chat.
Yeah. Talk to us on the internet. So, speaking of Disney trying to sell shit to you, B2 Emo, the droid, when he first was introduced to this show, this little fucker, I was like, so okay, the design of the droid I thought was great. The actual presentation of the droid, the mechanics of it, and how the droid is, I was like, oh, this is neat or whatever. The voice I thought was fine. The fact that they gave it a stutter, it was just like, you're just trying to make a cute thing to fucking make me buy shit again, Disney. I know what you're doing. I know. And so like immediately I was like, that's a Disneyism. And I was like, I don't care. He's trying too hard to be cute. They're trying too hard to make me like him and buy merch. So in the beginning, I kind of rejected the droid. I didn't not like it.
How do you reject droids?
But again, I was just
evil
like,
you.
They're just trying to make it.
We know that you.
thing.
We know they won you over. You have the droid right there.
Yeah, I know. But like, I was like, whatever. Like, I wasn't like, oh, he's the best droid. Because like normally, I'm like, I mean, I named my fucking dog Dio after one of the adorable droids in Star Wars. So like, I fall for droids a lot when they're cute and whatever. But this one, I was just like, I think it was the grittiness, and because it was so like, this is a realistic, dark, gritty thing, and then they're like, here's a cute thing, isn't he lovable? And it's like, no, show me someone crying, whatever. Anyway, the opening to this episode, so Marva dies.
I knew
off screen.
It got you. I knew it got you.
Off screen, and the fact that they showed it through the eye of the droid, and it was like, you know, when you look at your dog and you're like, I wonder what that little fucker is thinking. That this is like the closest to that, because
this is Santa's little helper looking at Bart.
The most gut-wrenching thing to start. Like Marva dies, I was like, oh no, like that was sad, but I wasn't like, oh no, whatever. It was how just like broken B2 Emo was, and he was just like, I want Marva, and it's like, okay, little guy, we gotta go over here. You gotta come to my house. I'm charging. You've been charging all day, bud. Can you stay here with me? And it's just like, oh god, the little guy, you know.
Yeah,
I fucking
knew it.
bawled my eyes out. Like that was one of the saddest things in a Star Wars, and like that fucking ruined me in the beginning. And I was just like, they're starting here, like motherfucker. So I guess this is the thing that brings everything. Okay. So Marva dies. You have one of the saddest moments in television history, in my opinion. The droids just fucking and then you see, I loved when they go to like, you know, they're wheeling her out and they're dealing with all the processions and stuff like that. And then you see in the little cafe across the street where Cinta is watching and works there now. So Cinta's watching the house, and then the ISB agent is also watching the house, talking to Cinta. And then there's like a little like, oh yeah, who died? Oh, someone. Do you know her? Oh, I just started here. And then he kind of gives a little tinge, and then she kind of gives a little tinge, and they're both just like, okay, anyway. So it's like slowly starting to be like, everyone's suspicious of everyone, everyone's spying on everyone, and you can't trust anybody. which was cool.
Wait, before we go too far forwards, Elvin, what did you think of that droid scene?
So I heard on the internet a rumor. I love that droid, by the way. That droid is one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Oh, you guys actually like that?
I love that droid because I love how close it's trying to be as a normal, organic creature. Right.
Sure.
I also heard that they may take that droid's consciousness, if you want to call it, and put it into the Rogue One big robot.
No. Oh.
Yeah.
K2SO?
Yeah. They're going to take that and put it in there at the end of season 2.
That would be good.
Oh.
I actually would really
It's just
like
a rumor
that.
I heard on the internet.
I would like that because it doesn't really, he's too sassy. Because B2 Emo is very
Nathan is just chawing at the bits to say something. Let him say something.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
wanna say?
Nathan, tell us how
Go
much
for
you
it.
fucking hate this droid.
I hate it when Disney tries to do this sort of thing.
They want to
I-
sell
I-
merchandise. You know
Okay,
that.
I know, but at the end of the day, it's not common to see droids get
No.
like this.
No.
And when they are like this, it's because they're programmed to be like this.
Yes.
Like the only reason why we see R2D2 getting all, attached to Anakin is because his databanks, he's gone through so much stuff, they haven't erased his memories, which he's supposed to. And there's a whole series in the Clone Wars where they didn't erase his databanks because it made him better on missions, but
Yep.
he got a bit more emotionally attached to Anakin, and he had all this information on tactics that he wasn't supposed to have, and so the Jedi were trying to get him back. That's not common.
Well, and also
droids-
there was that line in A New Hope where Luke says, "I've never seen a droid this attached before." I've
Yeah.
never-
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so when I saw, like, I didn't hate this droid from the start. I thought it was a cool design. He looked like a trash can on wheels.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, it was like a
cool.
rendition of a Gonk droid, which I
Yeah.
thought it fit well.
Yeah, and I loved how it kind of like popped up a little bit. That was cool. But does he
Oh.
pop up as well? That's pretty cool. That kind of looks like a cigar cutter when you push it down, but
It does.
They
But
have a really weird cigar cutter. I'll tell you that. I mean,
But,
I've
thought
got
the
a cigar
name was-
cutter. They don't look nothing like that.
Yeah. That's the merch you need, Disney, is this
That's what
B2
Disney's
Emo
gonna
cigar
come up
cutter.
with.
Yeah. Luther
but-
just smoking on a fat Cuban, right?
Yep.
But besides that, which I like all that, but him getting all upset and emotionally attached, and then the people trying to treat the droid nicely, didn't like that. In Star Wars, you constantly see people treating droids poorly.
Mhm.
And if someone's nice to a droid, it's not them being like, "Oh, you okay, buddy?" They're not a dog. It's
No.
usually like, "Oh, I'm gonna miss you too, bud." Then they leave. Droids are not considered, especially at this point in Star Wars, they're not considered sentient beings. They're not considered
Mhm.
emotional beings, and so people are just like, "Okay, whatever." So I didn't quite like that they. I know you guys liked it. I'm sorry, but I didn't quite like that they tried to get this droid a little bit more emotional and people involved. I thought that was just Disney trying to.
It's okay that you don't have a
That
heart,
really hurt.
Nathan. It's all right.
No,
It's all right.
I in the beginning, up until the start of this episode, I was 100% in agreement with you. Like, I was like, I see what you're
Can't
doing,
believe
Disney.
you two.
You're trying to make this thing lovable, like, and it just felt a little too try-hardy. Like, you gave it a speech impediment to make it more cute and lovable, and like you feel
And it
sorry
worked
for
right off the bat for me. I was hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, but the droid, like, let's give it the benefit of the doubt, has always been with Marva, never had his memory wiped. So and her being a caring old lady probably babies it, and it's like her cat kind of thing.
Mhm.
And the fact that it's all run down and broken and it needs to charge pretty much, essentially
That's a
just
great
a
way to put it,
simplified
her cat.
Roomba.
Yeah.
And like it's a simplified Roomba that's batteries are run down, so it constantly needs taken care of, and then Marva takes too much care of it because she's just always just like, "Oh, it's B2 and his charging
It's her
dock."
companion, right?
Exactly.
Fair enough.
So
Fair
Yeah.
enough. It's not as bad
old
as
person's companion.
fair enough. It's not as bad as the droid from the Solo movie. That one I hate. I love that movie.
The
Hated
BB,
the
whatever.
droid. Yeah, the one that
who voiced
connected
that
itself.
one? Yeah, the one that Childish Gambino fucks. There's straight up a line in the cockpits where they imply that they fuck, and then what's her name from Game of Thrones asks the droid, she's like, how does that work? And then the droid turns and she just goes, it works.
All right.
L3.
L3, yeah.
So I wanted to talk about the title, The Daughter of Ferrix. This is obviously alluding to Andor's mom passing away. Yep. She's being from Ferrix. So basically the daughter of Ferrix. I thought that was nice to title it like that.
Yeah.
To give her a proper send-off. We kind of strayed away from the beginning scene where it was cliffhanger basically happening.
We got, literally.
Yeah. We got Andor and we got this guy. He's the guy from Rogue One, right?
He is, yeah.
I can't remember his name, but I just remember seeing him from Rogue One. So he's those two are hanging off the cliff there, and they're waiting for the patrol ship to go away. I'm assuming, right? That was circling the area.
There's a bunch of ships trying to find them. Melshi, the guy's name.
I just like how he's like, just hold on for a little bit. You said a little bit a while ago. Like, we've been holding on for a while here, man.
My hands don't work.
Yeah.
So then they climb the thing and then they get down and there's those two guys. So this
finally seen non-humans.
They're on near Iconians or something like
that. What's the planet they're on?
I can't remember
the name.
It's the planet, but Eoians or whatever at the end.
Narcanians, I believe it is.
Narcanians. So Narcanians. Those two guys, their voices. Did either of you ever play? There was a game in the 2000s, Call of Cthulhu.
No.
It was this.
I know the game, I haven't played it.
Okay. It's a good game. It's like a what's the guy who wrote all the Cthulhu things and is super racist?
H.P. Lovecraft.
H.P. Lovecraft. So it's a game about the H.P. Lovecraft thing. But all of the voices of the people who are like being corrupted by Cthulhu and they're all super fucked up and eat people or cannibal. Anyway, they sound exactly like these guys. The exact like farmer UK like Somerset accent, and then the like gruffness of it. And, maybe we'll come out and get a couple of these guys here. All right, get some combine harvesters. They sound exactly like these guys. So immediately I was just like, holy shit. And they look like them too, because they're just like big, stocky, like fucked up face guys.
Maybe that was the inspiration.
Also, the belly of the guy with the knife looked exactly like the figure that we just reviewed, Elvin.
Oh, Mojo.
Mojo. He had the spikes coming up and his like his stomach rolling over it. But yeah, so they captured.
I found this area was kind of weak, I thought. Because in one moment they want to like take these guys, right? I guess eat them or something. I don't know. They wanted to capture them.
I thought they're gonna sell them. Weren't they?
Sell them. That's it. Yeah. I don't know why I said eat them. I guess you said belly. And
they look like it.
But then they switch over and want to help these guys out. I'm just like, this is poor writing. You know what should have happened? Here's what I thought it should have happened.
Do you watch it with subtitles?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
but here's what I thought.
Explains it all in the subtitles.
I don't think they did a good job of putting it all together. Here's what I thought they should have done was they climb up the ladder or the rocks. They look down and they see these two guys and they see the ship. They're like, okay, we can either one, beeline it for that ship, or two, we can have a conversation with them, tell them what would happen to us, and maybe they'll reason it with us. And see, if those two fail, we just overpower them. We'll figure it out. None of that happens.
Yeah.
They beeline it, but they're so stupid, they don't see the trap there, right? So they screwed themselves over.
Desperate, sure.
I mean, okay, fine. I'll give them that one, okay? They tried doing that one. But B, they should have just had a conversation. Look, guys, we just fucking escaped from this prison cell. Can you help us? You have a ship. We just need to go to the next planet.
They did. Right? They pleaded with them.
They pleaded with them after they got caught. I meant they should have just pleaded with them before running to go to the ship. Because they were first greedy. They wanted to steal it for themselves, right?
Do you know, if you're in that position, though, where you see a couple people, what looks like they're just hanging out or walking around, they don't their species doesn't look like they could run all that fast, and you are clearly someone that's just escaped prison because you're on a planet with a giant prison nearby, and you're dressed up in kind of prison-like uniforms. For me, at least, I wouldn't guess that they would have had traps down. I would have thought, you know what,
Yeah.
I can beat them there. Yeah.
Yep.
I can beat them there. I can run.
Whether you guess the traps are laid out or not, I think they should have went and just asked them.
But
hey, we need your help.
Well, but if they sided with the Empire, then they could, because they probably got some sort of communicator on them. They could call them in. They could do whatever. But if
then you have
stolen,
but when you have that, then you have C, where you take over anyways. Because now you're like, hey, we tried being nice, but you're a bunch of assholes. So we're gonna do everything we can to commandeer this place, right?
So they just escaped. They're desperate. They've been climbing a fucking mountain for God knows how long. In their heads, they're just like, we just need to make it there, and then we fuck off.
And it failed miserably.
Yeah. But if they were like, okay, we need to talk with them, and then if they go, oh no, they're actually like paid off by the Empire, and they immediately try and shoot us, I don't have the energy to fight. All I have the energy right now, because I now see a ship and I see a way out, I have enough endorphins and adrenaline. I can run there, and then I can sit and fly off, and that's all I can. So they're kind of blinded by a situation.
What strategy in real life would you use? Would you run and get caught like they did, or would you try to reason? If I'm in a real life situation, I'm presented with both chances here, both plans. I'm going to go with Plan B and talk to them. Because Plan A, they're lucky that they let them, because they're dead to Reds. They're dead right there.
Yep.
I've played enough.
It's a stupid plan. Plan A is a stupid plan.
I've played enough like choose your own path video games where usually if I end up talking to someone, I end up dead. So I'm running.
I don't know what games you play, because I play the same ones and I've always survived. So
I think it's just
I play Zelda, and every time you talk to people, you get information and you get a better chance of surviving than running into the cave without talking to anybody.
I do.
I'll give you an example right there.
Old Republic or Walking Dead.
Yeah, I think it was a situation of desperation and lack of sleep, and they saw a way out, and they're just like, fuck it. And also too, Andor was like wanting to like make a plan, think of stuff, and Melshi's just like, fuck it, I'm running. And he's just like, okay, this is what we have to do now. So like, it wasn't necessarily like they both were like, this is a good idea, but strength in numbers, and they're there as a team. So like when one person decides,
well, if the other guy runs and he does make it, then Andor is just left there hiding with two guys.
No, you fly over and catch him on the other side.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that whole scene was pretty weak, in my opinion.
I didn't hate it. Oh, well, if I had to critique one,
I was happy though. I did see another alien, so that was cool.
Yeah, I was
we saw some in the
last episode. Yeah, we forgot to mention that last episode.
I'm just happy that we see more. Counting now. One thing that, like, this is the smallest critique I can make. Sometimes I find Disney tries too hard when it comes to Star Wars. You always have to have something that's a little space age. That's not really what Star Wars is to me. And so my gripe here is the sticky nets. It's not a big deal at all. This didn't ruin the scene. This didn't change my rating or opinion at all. It's just you could have just have regular nets. Star Wars has those sticky nets. That seems some kind of high tech, more expensive gear for these guys who are just fishing with a crappy ship.
A slightly more like upgraded, just like fishing nets, and they just repurpose some fishing nets to protect their ship. Like maybe they use those mines in the water. And
maybe those were fishing nets. It just happened.
Maybe
very well could be.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
it could be. It just felt like a little overthought to me a little bit. Sure. For me, Star Wars sometimes is just like, if people, there's poor people in the Star Wars universe, they can't afford great, fantastic gear like some bounty hunters or the Empire. So they'll just use regular rope.
Because they're planted there prior to these guys running there. So I'm assuming those are traps.
Yeah, I think, you know what, that could have been fixed. Had they shown one of the fishermen pulling in that exact rope from the water. So then it's just like, oh, they just repurposed their regular tools.
Yeah.
Or but at the end of the day, it's not really a big deal. That's just like the one thing I thought of.
Now he's hating on aliens before he hated robots. I mean, he's just a hater of non-humans.
So then they get in the this
They
quad
get
jumper,
into the waste management vehicle. Yeah.
quad jumper, which we saw in the first time we saw that ship was in The Force Awakens. It gets blown up right before they get into the you're gonna fly that thing.
Yeah,
Before
that's
they
true.
randomly find the fucking Millennium Falcon.
In a junkyard.
Oh,
You know, I didn't hate
Brilliant
didn't
writing
hate
there.
The Force Awakens. Didn't
Way to
hate that
show
movie.
respect. Way to show the
No,
respect.
neither did I. Neither did
That
I.
was-
But like
do you know what?
in retrospect,
Here's my secret.
Out of
Yeah?
all the sequel movies, I only saw The Force Awakens in theaters. The other ones,
Good.
I was like, do you know what? I've heard horrible things. I'm not going
Good.
to waste money on it.
good. You are
I
a
saw
smart
those at
man.
home.
Good.
That's my big
I also
secret.
saw. I think I saw The Force Awakens twice in theaters. And then I mean I saw them all in theaters, but like the other ones I saw once, and then was like ugh, and then the second one I was like ugh, or the third one rather. But yeah, I liked The Force Awakens when it came out, but I also like. Anyway, and then it goes to Mon Mothma,
Oh yeah.
Yes.
and we get some more. Her performance is phenomenal. Like, I hope she wins an award. Just the amount of times that she is silent and says more than anyone has ever said, and just
Yeah.
her looks of just pent up rage and disgust, and just like the complexity of her situation and her dealing with that in her brain, and a camera's fucking pointed at her face, and like you could stare at her face, and there are a bunch of scenes in this episode and the last couple episodes where it's just like you hear like background chatter that's just like filling up space or whatever, but it's just staring at Mon Mothma, and she's just like and you're like fuck. And so her cousin comes to wait, it goes to Luthen's shop, and she like pretty much blows
Well, I think you're kind of one of the things you're forgetting is we go to what's her name? Your favorite admiral.
Akbar.
What's her name? No. The other favorite What's her name? What is her name?
ISP woman. What's her
Deirdre.
name?
Deirdre.
Deirdre, yeah.
Remember she
Deirdre.
talks about the funeral arrangements.
Yes, and they're like they know we'll deny it, and she's
This
like,
is
no,
how
have the
this is how
funeral.
crazy they are.
I love how they're
have-
talking about the like what they actually do for the funerals. Like they're turned into a brick, just
Yeah.
shoved in a wall.
Well, it's like
And
a Viking funeral kind of thing, but it's
Yeah.
like to help the community. You become part of the community. You are a
Isn't that
pillar of the
crazy?
community.
It is.
That's
Also,
awesome.
I also love the way that the Imperials talked about it. Like they just the way they spoke to each other, like to describe it, it kind of gave off the appearance like this is weird. I don't
Yeah.
like they just don't kind of get it. That's kind of the vibe I
they,
got from
they
them.
don't understand it. They don't. And this has been a
It's like a colonial coming to America for the first time.
yeah.
They think it's weird, primitive, and stupid,
See,
but
and-
let's do it anyways because we're gonna trap these guys if they come to the funeral.
And this is why I keep saying and keep thinking that having Thrawn show up in this show makes sense, because we're
He's
constantly
not showing
given-
up.
I'm just let me finish. We're constantly given examples of how the Imperials are disregarding the culture of a place that they are trying to overthrow. And that's Thrawn's biggest thing, is like you learn their culture, you learn their art, you study their
Jeez, that was
their
slippery.
people and all of their
I hope that came out of the bottle.
It did.
Okay.
It's a really big cork.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's what she said.
Yeah.
But like
By the way, this is not for children to be listening to this episode. This
I
is
don't,
yeah.
I don't think Andor is a show for children, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, if you're listening around your children, we apologize. We should have said it ahead of time. This
we're
is popcorn
fucking
chicken.
sorry.
This is popcorn chicken. It's very explicit and it's not for kids. If you want the kid stuff, well, not kid stuff, but if you want a more of a friendly family podcast, then check out our podcast on Monday nights at 8:30 p.m. It is our called A&R Weekly Podcast, where me and D are holding back the swear jar.
Is Christopher on the podcast?
Christopher will be joining us on our new podcast Saturday mornings, 8:30 a.m.
What's this
Mighty
new
Morning.
podcast about?
It is called Mighty
Mighty
Mornings. It is talking about cartoons from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. So very nostalgic AM podcast. It'll be on Saturdays very soon.
I got a whiskey called Swear Jar.
Swear-
Swear Jar. I bought it because my friend's band is called Swear Jar, and
Cool.
I bought it solely to post a picture and tag them in it and be like, I didn't know you made whiskey. Don't buy it. It's not good. It tastes like battery acid and fucking chemicals. But the bottle, actually, I'll go get it because I need another beer.
Don't buy it, but
beer? That's whiskey.
Don't buy it, but he's gonna go get it right now.
Yes, he will show us one not to purchase.
Yeah.
This one that I'm having, which I think I've had for most of this show, because I only pull it out like once a week, is Long Turkey. Wild Turkey by it's the Long Branch. Long Turkey. This is Matthew McConaughey's brand.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's quite nice. It's all right.
Apparently, what's his name sold his for $600 million, right?
Are you talking Conor McGregor? Oh no,
Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
I think we talked about this. Right?
He sold Aviation Gin?
Yeah, for $600 million.
That makes sense actually, because he was doing a lot of like promo and commercials for it. So I think all he was doing was using his clout to bring up the stock price so that he could sell it.
Yeah, that's what really smart move. That's what Conor McGregor did as well. Ryan Reynolds, but they'll stay on as spokespersons for the brand.
Yeah. But he took that money and bought a soccer team in Wales.
But he's wanting to, yeah. So
no, he already bought it.
He bought it. He made a show about it already.
Wrexham.
Oh, nice. This is Swear Jar. It's ass. But if you thought that cork was big.
Is that a cork? I thought that was a screw top.
Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
But they also have a thing on the back. As a pay up potty mouth. So for fuck you put in $2. For see, this is what when you know it's gonna be stupid. So fuck is $2, then damn is $1. So damn is just a step below fuck. Then shit is 50 cents. I guess I said shit in Star Wars, so it's not actually that bad anymore. And then crap, which they censor, is 25 cents. So anyway, that's fucking stupid.
I never knew damn was a bad word. I've been saying that.
Neither did I. I didn't know crap was a bad word.
This is my Swear Jar.
Whoa, you've been swearing a lot there, buddy.
I would be bankrupt. Oh, Dan Aykroyd?
Indiana Jones memorabilia.
It's a crystal skull, yeah. My brother bought this because I don't just drink vodka. But when he emptied it out, I'm like, can I keep it? Because this is a cool looking bottle.
Yeah, it is.
And so for the next Indiana Jones movie, I'll go to the theaters, put whatever pop I get.
That was the worst Indiana Jones movie ever.
What Indiana Jones movie? There's only 3.
Crystal Skull.
Actually, there's more than 3 if you consider what the miniseries that they did before. I don't. I love those, except for the episode where Harrison Ford was actually in it. That one was so cheesy. You guys have all seen those. Let's go back. We'll go back.
Yeah, let's get back into this. Everyone's like, what are you guys talking to that for?
So then we get to Bix, who's being interrogated again, and then they show the guy who they know that is running the operation, the sting operation that they have. And then she was like, they were like, is this Axis? Is this the guy that you introduced? And they didn't imply, but or no, they kind of implied. They didn't. They showed, not tell, that she was kind of just like, because in her head, she's like, I want this to stop. So
do we have outside noises coming in from somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay, you have a full-on conversation by your door, huh? Cool.
No, I don't. They're yelling. My mom's afraid.
All right, she's having some of that whiskey that.
Yeah, she's having some Swear Jar.
Funny enough, my family was never into alcohol. It's only my brother and I, which is strange. But
oh, okay, all right.
But so yeah, then there.
So how about when you're not
Axis?
talking? Are you able to mute the mic?
Yeah, I told them to be. I sent them a text. I said, "Please be quiet. They can hear you."
We are live, folks. We're live.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, Justin. Go
I
ahead.
warned them
Ugh.
too. Yeah, sorry. Where are we now? Was it Bix or Bricks?
Bix, yeah, is
Bix.
getting interrogated,
Bix.
and
Oh man, she looks rough.
she
Oh.
does. Oh, the makeup was so good. She looks like shit.
And it's nice that
Like-
they're not doing one of those like all perfect makeup, but like a little blood, like I've been tortured.
No,
But
she
it's actually
looks
like, oh,
like
shit.
like pale and like streaks in her face. Like she looks
Great
like
acting by the way.
fucking.
by the way.
Oh,
This is very
that's
good.
like some of the most impressive acting in this show has been when the actor isn't speaking, and just seeing them play the emotion on their face, and like you don't need dialogue. Like you just look at their face, and they don't cut away from it. They let you stew in it. And like,
Did you see
when
how long they
asked-
held that shot?
Yeah,
The
they
shot was
asked
very
her,
long. Yeah.
and they like, I don't even know if they zoomed in, but it's just like they just held on her face so that you just felt uncomfortable, and you were just
Mhm.
like, fuck. And then they cut to the next thing because they were just like, you don't really need to know if she did or not. Like, you just need to know that she wants to die and knows that she's going to. So like,
Yeah, I
that's
know.
that. And they just like held it with that and let you sit with that for a bit. And then they cut to Mon Mothma, I believe. Or no, then they cut to Luthen's shop,
Yeah.
and Luthen's not there. And then what's her name?
The assistant.
Well, no, that's Clea, and the Mon Mothma's cousin. Her name is Vel. So then we see Vel, and she just like comes in, and immediately it's just like, oh, this is uncomfortable. And she's just like, oh, I heard my cousin shops here. And she's like, oh, Mon Mothma. And it's just like, okay, are we alone? And she's like, were you wanting to pick something up for her? And she was like, where is he? I need to speak
Kudos
with him.
for her staying in character.
Yeah. She's and then she's like, where is he? I need to speak with him. We have some new items over here.
Vel annoyed the hell out of me in that scene. I was thinking, like,
Yeah.
'cause previously we've seen them talk about, they're under greater surveillance. The Empire stepped up. I was thinking the place is bugged.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
The driver from Mon Mothma must have maybe
Yep.
placed something in there so they can listen in. And I thought, what the hell is Vel doing? She should know better. And she's just talking like, where is he? Almost admitting that he's part of a rebellion out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Fondor's not here. I checked the back, and she's just like, bitch, I fucking. And then she's like, well, she died. I'm gonna go to the funeral. Where is he? And then she's like, well, he's not here. Okay, well, I'm gonna go. Tell him that shit's gonna pop off, and we're going back to Ferrix. And then they go to Mon Mothma. And her daughter is just fully embracing the old traditions. I love how they established in the beginning, and again, this is an example of why I love this show so much, is because they are flushing out people like Mon Mothma. And like, as far as we knew, Mon Mothma was a saint. She was the leader of the rebellion. She was one of the most amazing people who brought justice and peace and she's wonderful. But this show is just like, yeah, she was a fucking shitty mom and kind of like a narcissistic piece of shit to her daughter. And her husband's kind of a sleazeball, and she was kind of an asshole to him too. And it's just like showing the price that she's having to pay for the rebellion. And I love the fact, and this is such clever writing too. It's just like her daughter rebelling against her mom.
Every teenager does that pretty much.
Yeah, no, but like the way that her daughter rebels is to embrace the traditions of their planet, of their family traditions. And that's her rebelling against her mom, is just being like, fuck you, mom, I'm gonna go to church. And then she's like, no, you shithead. I'm gonna get an arranged marriage. I'm gonna marry a banker. Fuck you, mom. I'm gonna go to church and do Bible study. And like that's her rebelling, and it's just like that's exactly what would happen in this. And so she's got like her Bible study at her house, and they're doing like the chant, and it's super culty. And then Vel shows up, and she's like, "What the fuck is that?" And she's like, "She loves this shit, but I fucking hate it." And you're like, "That's so fucking cool." And then that puts even more gravity on the fact that like the gangster, the mobster banker guy who's gonna loan her money or like get her out of that, that's why she was so vehemently against it, is because she knew that the second that she introduces some like a hot 15-year-old dude to her daughter from the same planet, she's immediately gonna bang him and they're gonna get married, and then she's lost. And that's why it wasn't the fact that like, oh, it's just a, and like when she was so like immediately she was like, how dare you suggest that? Because she knows that she doesn't have any sway with her daughter, and she knows that she's just gonna lose him, and then she's gonna marry some crook. And like, so she's having to give up her family and the betterment of her family for this rebellion, and she knows where it's gonna go, and she knows it's her only option. And then when Vel's talking to her and she's like explaining to her how in the fucking weeds she is, like, how much you owe, or how much is the Empire going to find out about? 400,000. Like, fuck. Like, and then they're just like, oh shit.
Well, we know it's gonna happen. Val's just gonna go get the 400,000 from the 80 million they stole, give it to her, honky dory.
No, because it's the paperwork. It's a paper trail. So Mon Mothma is funneling money out of her family's accounts. Vel is her family. If Vel just hands her money, then they're going to be like, well, where'd this money come from? So she needs a reputable.
Well, Lutheran.
Luthen is not but then they would be like, why is Luthen giving you 400 grand?
Because
and then they would look
for
into
an
him.
artifact or something. They can make something up there at that store.
They would look
she
into
always
him.
buys stuff from him though.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
exactly.
It'll be fine. Trust me. That's why Val went in there, smooth things out. It'll be fine.
No, she went there to be like, yo, I'm going to go find Andor. Shit's fucked. I'm leaving tomorrow.
I think she went there to ask for the money.
She didn't know about that yet. She went to Luthen first, and then she went to Mon Mothma.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but that scene was
the daughter
was
is nowhere to be found in the future Star Wars shows, so
everyone dies.
She's just gonna weed away, right?
Or no, this all goes fine. Mon Mothma loses her entire family, and her daughter goes to marry this mobster on their planet, and she never talks to her family again.
Maybe the Empire finds out what happens and
it kills all of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. Yeah.
Yep.
We don't know yet.
Yep.
Hopefully they do it before season 2.
You just want people to die. We know that.
No, I just want. Actually,
no, I think was it last episode or the one before that?
I don't want
Popcorn Chicken where you said I want like 4 out of 5 of the main characters dead.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So then we get to Luthen going and talking with
your favorite,
Saul Guerrero,
my favorite.
Good old banana hammock man. And
Guerrero.
Then we get to see a bunch of the scenes that we haven't seen from the trailers, and we get to see I loved the discussion with Saul when Luthen comes to like visit him, and he gets frisked. Now nobody on the internet that I've seen is fucking talking about this, and I'm weirded out about this.
Oh wait, before you say that, right before, like 2 minutes ago, I quickly looked up. About half an hour ago, while we're on the podcast, I saw a couple places write articles about this.
Okay, so Luthen.
Wait.
The first couple episodes,
we're missing a key scene. We're missing
what's the key scene?
Intermission that Serial had.
Oh yeah, we get Cyril again.
Oh yeah.
So Cyril, his mom wakes him up and he goes, "You got a phone call.
You got a phone call from your friend Jerry.
You got a phone call. Your friend Jerry's on the phone. George, phone." I like how she's like an amalgamation of what's Stiller it's Ben Stiller's dad. What's the actor's name?
Mr. Stiller.
George Costanza's dad. Anyway, George Costanza's dad and his mom. Cyril's mom is like the two of them together. Anyway, yeah. So then Cyril gets called by the guy who said the first shit in Star Wars, and he's like working in a mine, so he got demoted too, and he's like working in a mine, and then he warns him, or doesn't warn, he tells him that Marva died, and they're having a big funeral because he heard from a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. And then he gets cut off. And so Cyril's gonna have this episode is just like, you remember that scene from what's that Tarantino movie with the two Irish guys? They're assassins, they're brothers.
Django?
No.
Irish guys. No, not Irish, but you're not talking about Pulp Fiction, right?
No.
Because they're not Irish, but they are kind of killers.
No. The two Irish.
Anyways,
no.
While he's figuring that out,
Reservoir Dogs?
we
Reservoir Dogs.
Sorry.
So basically, he's trying to give all the information to Cyril. Cyril's trying to get all the information so that he can go and forward it to Deidre. The transmission does cut off at a key moment, correct?
Wait, you think that's what he's going to say? I don't think he's going to transfer the information off.
I
think he's going to want to
Capture him himself?
Yeah, to go in, like, look what I've done, because he's been trying to
yeah.
prove himself for so long.
I'll get promoted now.
Yeah.
ISP's pushed him off. He's going to be like, I got to do this, take this in my own hands, get my mother off my back, and do this for myself, prove them all wrong.
I like how the mom is just like, finally, I can stop worrying and go to bed now. All your bullshit from the past is now over anyway. And then he goes into his mom's. So a lot of people are saying that that's his secret box, but it's a bunch of her jewelry. So he's going in and stealing from his mom.
Oh, yeah.
To get money for something.
Absolutely. Because you
a lot
saw her
of people
jewelry
said,
in there.
like, yeah, exactly. A lot of people are like, oh, we finally get to see a secret box. It's like, no, that's his mom's jewelry. It's like all this old posh, like tacky shit.
He doesn't have jewelry sitting in this box.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why he's waiting
Man's
for
never
her
seen a boob in his life.
That's why he waited for her to leave, and then he went to the room.
Yeah, exactly. So he'd like pilfered a bunch of money from her to go do something nefarious.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you know what?
He's gonna get shot for sure. Next.
100%. I think he's just gonna get a shuttle and just like fucking go to Ferrex and just do it himself.
Yeah, I think so too.
So this whole episode is just like as I was trying to reference the Boondock Saints, and there's gonna be a firefight, and just everyone's gonna fucking show up at the funeral, and it's just gonna be a fucking shit show. Everyone dies.
Is it like The Departed?
Yeah, like Departed.
Everyone just
Boondock
shooting at
Saints,
each other.
Everyone's yeah. Andor goes. No, that's at the end. But so we get to Luthen, and he gets.
This has to be the highlight of the show.
Yes,
he gets
the whole
frisked.
scene.
So he gets frisked. The one guy pulls out this thing. Now I want to show you this. This is his walking stick. Okay, and if we look at exhibit 2, exhibit B, here's his walking stick. If we look closely, that's carbon fiber looking kind of shit. There's some metal shit. There's some more metal shit, and there's some more metal shit. The thing they pick up from him is all wood. This is a fucking lightsaber.
I thought it was a vibrator.
This is a big ass dildo.
No, yeah, and you know what? Can you zoom in on the handle?
Yeah, okay.
Do you see? That sounds wrong after I said that before. You can even see 2 buttons on it, and lightsabers always had two things. It had the activating switch, but it also has a dial that lets you adjust the length.
Adjust the length, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's got both of those.
So look at the hilt here. So like that could be looked at as an emitter. It's interesting to see a wooden lightsaber.
But it's not the first time we've seen wooden lightsabers.
It's not.
Old lightsaber from the Jedi.
Well, do you know what? Even Jedi during the Clone Wars, it's rare, but some of them had wooden lightsabers. In the Clone
Mhm.
Wars, there's an episode where a young Wookiee,
Yep.
who's force sensitive, he's a youngling. It's a whole episode about them getting their kyber crystals on Ilum and then going to make their lightsaber. And when he's making his lightsaber, he chooses a material that's wood, but it's a wood that's so hard it's basically a metal, but it's still a
Yeah.
wood. And so it's uncommon, but it's relevant. This is still stuff the Jedi used in recent times.
Yeah. But like I think a lot of people, and I think the point of this was a lot of people just looked at it and was like, oh, that's just his walking stick again. But like maybe like it's possible that like right here that could be where his hand is, and right here, like this could be a color correction mistake, and this could just be like when this camera shot it, it was set to this Kelvin, but this is clearly wood. This is not wood. Things. And like, oops. And also the hilt here, like that end does not match.
It's the same shape, but to me, it looks like the one on the left has got a really dark blackness to it.
Yeah.
Like a matte black, and the one on the right's more of a shiny metal.
Exactly. Yeah. Like this is all one material here, and these are two different. Like that could be a reflection difference, and like it's tough. Like this could all be reflections and whatever. We're literally fucking pixel peeking.
Yeah.
But like
Elvin, do you think it's a lightsaber as well, or?
No, I don't think those are lightsabers.
I don't think the one on the right
don't get me wrong. I want them to be lightsabers, but I just don't think they are.
I just think it's too much of a coincidence that he's got all this stuff that only like Jedi or people that are
no. I'm not saying
and he had a kyber crystal, which is really hard to get unless you're a Jedi or you've killed a Jedi.
Okay, we talked last episode great lengths about it, so I don't want to veer too much off it, but I want him to be what we said we wanted to be, really cool. I just think he's just collected. They could be lightsabers that are out of commission, and he's trying to collect them. He's a collector.
Sure.
But I don't think they're actual.
Another lightsaber to add to my collection.
Add to my collection.
Another lightsaber to add to my collection.
I just want to get into the next scene. We were talking about Saul Guerrero.
Sorry, one more thing.
Yeah.
I said something about color correction and that it was set to a different Kelvin, the white balance. But if we look here, he's wearing the same shirt and they are the same color. So the fact that this is wood and the fact that this is matte black, these are two different pieces.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a lighting thing. It's not a color thing. His jacket is the same color in these two shots. So that is, I mean, that could just be like, again, it could be just a props. It could just be a props mistake. But like, I think that it's like it's probably a red herring, and it's just intentionally just like, let's make the second one slightly different so that people on the internet lose their shit about it and talk about it on podcasts.
Could be, yeah.
So fuck you. We're doing it. You won. Fuck.
But you're right. You're right.
All right, can we talk about Saul and him?
If that is what they did, they're like, let's make the two slightly different so that people they don't know.
I love how Alvin's like, let's talk about the conversation they had. He finds that important, and then you and I are like, this could be a lightsaber. This could change everything.
Yeah.
This one little frame.
Yeah.
Saul and Luthen
There's no L.
having a conversation. Luthen.
Saw.
Saw Gerrera and Luthen are having a conversation. Long story short, they're both pissed off at each other about the decisions they're making. One is saying 30 people are going to die, plus our friend. And the other one's saying, well, that's the price we pay.
No. Saw doesn't give a shit about the fact that 30 people are dying either. He is
I'm not saying he gives a shit. I'm saying he brings it up to him. And the reason why he's bringing it up is, hold on, could you be an ISB? Wait, why don't you care about this? Like, something's weird about you not caring about this.
Well, also, because he's paranoid, and I love that they still brought.
Well, he has to be paranoid. He doesn't know this guy.
Well, like he's paranoid
Exactly.
later on down the road as well. Like that's just his character.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Rogue One, he was so paranoid there.
He's lost it at that point, and this is past the stuff in Rebels that we've seen where he's starting to not trust people, and we see a bit of that in the beginning of this season, and then now we're starting to see a lot of just like, well, you could be ISB, you could be, wait, do you have people? You have people everywhere. It makes sense that you would have someone here. And then he was like, yeah, you're right, it's Tubes. And he's like, well, what the fuck, I don't work for him. And he's like, yeah, he tells me everything. Yeah, he's my inside man. And so he's like still friendly with him and like making jokes and making him feel better. But I do like the distrust that they have where he's like, you would do this to me, so why should I help you? Because, and he's like, no, he doesn't know me like you do. I don't care because I've never met him. And he's like, you've met him. He's like, I've met him. He doesn't know that I've seen him. I've been in the same room with him, but he doesn't know that I was. And so like, it's cool to see like someone else that he was working with. He just like told him, hey, go to this bar on Tuesday at 4 p.m. I'll drop something there for you on a table to the left. And he went to the bar and just watched him and just sat there in the shadows and didn't know. And then, yeah, he was like, and when he first got there, Saw was just like, all right, I'll do it, but he has to agree to my terms, and I'll fly over and fuck some shit up. And then he's just like, and there was a few minutes where Luthen was like, should I just let him do it? And then he was like, he weighed all the options and he was like, don't do it. It's a trap. They figured it out. And then he was just like, so we're just letting him die? And he was like, yeah. And then he's like, well, and then Saw put the pieces together and he's like, you're protecting an informant. You have someone in the ISB. Wait, if you have somebody in the ISB, you have someone here. You have someone everywhere. You have eyes everywhere. How do I trust you? And he's just like, you don't. You can't trust me. And he's just flat out.
That's the wrong thing to say to Saw.
I don't think so. I think that
guy's a bad kid.
Well, like, yeah, but imagine going the other way, being like, you can trust me. Do it.
Yeah.
But then there's evidence that he's got informants everywhere.
Yeah. So then Saul would just be like, fuck you. No, I can't trust you. So he's siding with his reason, which is dwindling at this point because the guy's fucking insane. But he's just like, how should I trust you? And he's like, you shouldn't. You should take everything at face value. Here is all of the evidence that I have, and here's the reason for this. But also, too, he doesn't overshare, and he doesn't tell him he's got a guy in the ISB. Saw finds that out. He doesn't tell him, that he's trying to protect this. This is why he's doing it. He just says, this is what I'm doing, and you shouldn't go because it's going to go tits up.
Yeah.
So let's figure something else out. And then Saw starts prying and looking into more, but he doesn't admit to anything either. He's just like, yeah, that would make sense if I was doing that. Anyway, let's figure something else to do, kind of thing.
Isn't it nice to have smart characters? Like
it is.
I find Disney and a lot of shows just have dumb characters.
Well, it's always pandering to the audience, and this is the biggest thing with this show. And a lot of the scenes where they have the actors not say anything is they don't over explain things, and they don't have to have a 10-minute montage of them making a plan. They just show you them doing the thing, and then you go, oh, well, I guess they figured it out this, and I guess they did this, and it makes you draw your own conclusions because they just go, you're smarter than this. We don't need to explain. We don't need to hold your hand through this story. And that would make this show 12 episodes longer and a bajillion times boringer.
There's this show, I can't remember what it was, but I was watching it the other night. I wasn't intentionally watching it. Someone else had it on, and I saw it for a moment. And one of the main characters,
My Little Pony,
The Bachelor,
it's some sort of like thriller thing, and they're
The
trying to figure
Bachelor.
something out. No, but they figure out someone that was actually a therapist is actually a major general that's being undercover black ops.
Sure.
And they're like, oh my gosh, the therapist isn't reporting. As soon as they say this out loud, oh my god, the therapist is the major general.
It sounds very close to The Bachelor.
And then the other character goes, oh my gosh, they're not reporting to the major. They are the major. And it's like, yes, you said that a moment ago.
Thanks, Tips.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know. It's just nice to be able to to have a show that seems a bit more realistic. People figure
Yeah.
stuff out rather than just, oh, I guess they just know this information somehow. It's like, no, you must have figured it out, the information from somewhere. The only way I can think of you getting that information, you have an informant. You have an informant in the ISP. The reason why you're not giving me this information for like more detail is because you're trying to protect them. And that's one of the other reason why you're letting all these people die. And he weighs the options after he decides that Luthen's not a threat to him. He weighs his options and he goes, you know what? It is better to.
And then Luthen fucking pulls a gun on him, and then he's like, "You know that you don't make it out of here alive." And he goes, "Yeah, I know. I'm just making you listen. This is the only way to make you shut the fuck up."
Yeah.
And it was just like.
So right after this conversation, we go to Cyril stealing the jewelry, the money from the mom's rack, and then we go to Luthen having a conversation in space with his assistant, and they play
all code words.
They stay in character the entire time.
So good.
I'm like, this is good writing right there.
Oh,
and it turns out to be like a perfect example as to why they're in code too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they have a fucking listening destroyer ship right behind with giant fuck off sonar or like listening devices on every part of the ship. And
so I don't know I don't know if you could pull up the name of that ship, Justin, but the actual name of the ship, if you guys can pull it up, the artist that drew that ship passed away.
Really?
It was only concept. It was never used by George Lucas.
Oh, cool. I thought honestly I did kind of recognize
I can't remember the name, but the concept was George Lucas had it. And in fact, George Lucas, I think, used it in one scene or something like that. Anyways, but the gentleman who actually
cruiser,
yeah, the Cantwell class, the Cantwell class arrestor cruiser, and it was originally pitched for New Hope, but was first seen in Solo, so it's not the first time we see it.
Yeah. So
okay.
The gentleman that drew or made the concept passed away, so I just wanted to mention that.
That's cool.
That's a shame.
So they brought that in there, just kind of. Give the nod to the gentleman that did it.
Yeah.
I always feel sad when that happens.
Yeah.
It's something that everyone just starts to love. And
so to me, this was my favorite scene in the episode.
Yeah.
When the cruiser pulls up next to our boy Luthen. And I got to tell you,
him just trying to slide his way through.
He did a good job.
Being suave.
My question is though, would he have he had no choice here. Yeah. Because then they would have caught and said, "This is not the guy that we're looking for. They're looking for Krieger, right?"
Krieger. Yep.
Yeah, Krieger. And Krieger looks very different than Luthen does.
Yep.
But this is supposed to be his ship, is it not?
They just picked him up because this is pirate area. This is an area rife with piracy, and he would probably have so. This scene was interesting because
didn't he give the code for Krieger's ship?
No, it was a Corellian.
It was from it starts with an A, I forgot. It was Alderaan. Alderaan trade ship.
Yeah, Alderaan trade ship. So he gives a code for an Alderanian trade ship, but he just doesn't want Imperial prying eyes, and he could probably talk his way out, but. It does look bad. This is an area rife with piracy, and he is an antiquities dealer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and especially with how the Empire is cracking down on shit, they would probably just go, this is an area rife with piracy, and you collect items. Okay, you're in jail for 25 years. Fuck you. So, I loved... So, normally in Star Wars, we see... that big ship, we got a tractor beam, and they go, oh, fuck you, and then they jump, or no, and then they spin around and do some cool flippy shits. I know, I'll try spinning, and then they get away and whatever. Again, the great writing, the fact that like they were like, okay, we're putting a tractor beam on you. And he was like, okay. And then he scans what level the tractor beam is at. Okay. Well, I need countermeasures for level 2. Okay. I've got that set up. It's charging. Then he throws like flak cannon shit. So it's pulling this stuff.
Garbage
so it essentially, essentially like calculates the weight of the gravitational force that tractor beam is pulling, and it throws that much weight back at it, and then it destroys the tractor beam thing, and then they start losing their shit, and then they send out a couple TIE fighters, then his ship just fucking starts shooting things, and then he does a cool spinny thing with these two
That
fucking
laser
pulse
thing was
cannons.
dope. That's
That
the
was
ship
so
that Darth
cool.
Maul should be riding in.
Hell yeah.
Do you know what? Do you know what really made the scene for me? It could have gone. His character could have gone one of two ways. Well, I guess he went a third way. But usually Star Wars would put him in one of two ways. He would either panic, like, "Oh my gosh, this is happening," or freak out, or he'd be like super confident and smug. Like,
Yeah.
You know,
But you see, this is going back to what I was saying in the beginning. When someone's intelligent and smart, they try talking first before running.
Yeah.
Right? This is what I was trying to convey is they should have talked first. And then if shit goes to hell, then you make a run for it.
I think it's different character. Luthen is that he's the spy master of all of so far of what we've seen of the rebellion, and he knew I've got countermeasures set up.
When he starts charging them and preparing everything on the beginning, so he starts trying to, and then he immediately goes like, "Oh, I've got a overheating thing. It's an old ship. I got to switch it manually." And
I'm by myself here, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, exactly. He's playing like the old guy who's just like, I'm one man guy. Yeah, and he's playing dumb and whatnot while preparing for everything, and he's just buying himself time because he's like, I know I'm gonna have to fuck shit up, but this is a fucking cruiser that I'm gonna have to go against, so the shit's gotta take time to charge.
Yeah, and
then then they send the TIE fighters out, and I love the Imperials too. Like their reaction to everything was great, because everything he told them and sent to them all checked out, and everything was above board. But because of the new laws that had been put in, normally they would have probably let him go. And his normal routine of just like, oh, this area is rife with piracy. Oh, thanks a lot, gentlemen. I'll be sure to watch my back. Thanks, I appreciate it. Normally, they would have probably just been like, all right, have a good day, sir. Thanks for your credentials. You're free to go. But because of the Aldhani job that he pulled, and he knows this, he's just like, all right, well, this will buy me time, but they're not going to let me go, and they're going to arrest me or shoot me. So I need to fuck shit up now. And then did he say where he was plotting a course for, or did he just say plot the course to hyperspeed?
He should have said plotting the course to kick your you-know-whats.
You can say
that's
ass.
what he should have said at the end.
Oh, wait, but you'll need to add... They don't have ass on here. They have damn, and they have crap, but not ass.
Like, when he's figuring everything out, he even says, like, he specifies Alderaan. He's like, do you know what? Alderaan is a place that it's like a wealthy enough planet that they're not going to want to usually board me. And it goes to the scene when one of the officers asks, from Alderaan, shall I cancel the boarding? As if like it's a standard thing.
Yeah. He's like, oh, he's from Alderaan. Oh, it's okay. Yeah. Like, exactly. Like, that's a well-off, like, well-known, like, only good people come from, like, well-established, important people come from Alderaan. Like, we don't want to piss anybody off. Like, that's a normal way of things. Like, oh, it's his Alderaanian credentials check out. Should I cancel it? And he's like, no, we could use the practice.
So arrogant.
And it's just like, fuck. That's good.
So brutal, so arrogant.
Good. Yeah, and then he does a spin maneuver and with the pulse lasers, and then fucks off.
Yeah, and then the actual main person in charge of the ship just looks like an idiot.
Yeah,
I just love that look on the
just like
stupid look on his face.
Yep.
Then we get to the final scene.
So Andor goes back to his apartment.
Cabo.
He rented out.
He
goes to Cabo.
Finds his money.
Gets his box, and he gets the manifesto, which we were wondering about. We were like, how does he get it back?
He's got some serious coin up in that box, huh?
Yep.
Does the equivalent of opening up a Nintendo DS in the middle of the night, realizing it's bang and closes it.
Yeah. Did we see some more aliens? Right?
Yes, 2 of them in bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All kinds of tentacles moving everywhere.
Now, that was that 2 people in bed, or was that a person in a little doll?
I saw 2 different.
I'm gonna go 2 people.
So I thought I saw one like grayish.
Yeah.
I saw like a tentacle thing, but I didn't know if that was like because like Dio sleeps right here on me. I thought that was like the same girl, and then she just got a pet, and it was just sleeping right here.
Maybe.
Who's the like squid face? Is it killed? No, that's
Oh, you're talking about the ones that live on the same planet as the calamari ones.
Yeah, Corins.
Those are the Clone Wars episode where they go to war with the I see. Yep, you got them.
These guys.
Jesus.
Yeah, they pretty.
Wait, go down to the photo below.
Oh.
Looks like they're all doing a group hug. Oh, never mind. They're all standing. That's one of those photos. I thought they were hugging. That's one of those photos that they used in those old Star Wars books, like the guides, like Episode 2 guide, and they've got photos like that. I had one for Episode 2, and that's why I loved what's the name of the second episode? The Clone Wars.
Something like
Attack
of the Clones.
Anyways, why I try to speed it up is we still have to talk about the shorts that we watched.
Oh yes.
Oh,
don't worry, that will be short.
Get this man out of here.
Justin's looking for a cricket noise.
I am.
So final scene, we get Andor talking back home, where he finally just finds out that his mom has passed away. He's obviously devastated, right?
On a payphone too.
Yeah.
Star Wars
payphone.
And then his buddy says, "Hey, look, we got to spread the word. People need to know about this."
So also too,
I did think that was kind of lame.
No, he's on a payphone, and the friend, he has no tact, and he's just like, Cassian, and he's like, no names, and he's just like, okay, anyway, Andor, your mom died.
That dude's like, not getting it.
No, it's like, and this is why, like, there was the scene in Luthen's shop, and then this, and it's just like the Empire is listening to everything now, especially like these places.
Like, dude,
so that's why it's just like everyone's showing up on Ferrix, and everyone's gonna die. Because there's so many hints of just like there's so many breaches of security on all fronts. Like,
oh my god, everybody and anybody knows where they're gonna be at what time.
Well, they spent so much time like being discreet and hiding everything, and so now I think it's just gonna be like episode 12 is just gonna be like, well, everyone fucking couldn't shut up about this shit, so we know they're all coming.
So I thought it was a good, touching moment that, he finds out she's dead. Now he knows. The question is, will he go back now in episode 12 for the funeral? That's the big question.
Yeah.
And the other thing is how his friend said we have to spread out. Better to have us spread out and kind of spread the message. I thought that was kind of corny, those lines, but I get it. Word needs to get out there.
I think they split up there to make sense as to why he's alive in Rogue One. And I think it's going to be a red wedding type thing. Episode 12, just everyone fucking dies. Everyone dies. And
Emperor's like, we know every one of you guys are involved.
Up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like Deirdre dies. Fucking Bix dies.
Yeah,
like everyone but Andor just gets fucking annihilated.
I hope they don't kill Luthen. He's a character I really like.
I agree.
Too. Yeah,
I agree. Well, because too, like episode 2. So like when we see him in Rogue One, he's part of like the secret intelligence, or he's like part of the MI6 or whatever of the rebellion. He's a gun, not a gun. He's no longer a gun for hire. He is a rebel agent, and he's like sent out as an assassin, as a black ops guy. So I don't think Luthen has. I don't think
they're going to keep him as like the guy to tell him what to do later.
That's the thing. I don't think of Luthen as somebody who will then join them.
Well, if your theory is correct, then
exactly, like
he'll just put a hood on and just appear in the dark, right?
they'll just pull out a lightsaber in the final episode. But then actually, I doubt that happened because do you know what? It's making me question if
And
he
then
did
Darth
pull out a
Vader
lightsaber,
shows up and fucks him up.
then we see Vader or an Inquisitor come in,
Yeah.
and that's not the type of show. So
No,
I don't
and
think
then
he'd
what's
pull
her
out a-
name? What's her name from Obi-Wan shows up.
from
Oh
Obi-Wan.
God! Please
Oh,
don't
yeah.
ruin it. Jeez.
No,
Anyways,
they won't-
what do we give
they
this
won't
out of
fuck it up.
10? Let's go around the board here. Who wants to go? Nathan, you want to go first?
Okay. Before we started the podcast, because I was thinking about what to rank it, I was going to do a weird rank. I was going to say 7.75. But after going over it, I'm going to bump it up to 8.5 purely because I loved the two scenes with Luthen. The one where it was.
Am
where
I watching
I
a
thought
different
it
show
was
than you
lightsaber.
two?
And then the other scene where they're escaping from the tractor beam. I love that whole sequence there. So I'm going to bump it up. It's quite high. But that's just because looking back at it,
You're quite.
I wasn't bored. I don't smoke. I have mine.
Okay. I'm just kidding. Jeez.
But
Get
my
all grandpa on me.
back in my day. But I do think that this episode, it was still a build-up episode because they're trying to build up to the final episode, but it was so much more exciting and engaging than previous build-up episodes we've had. Sure, one of the build-up episode for the heist was very good. I loved seeing the TIE fighters zoom by really quickly, being so loud. And I didn't really
Also,
like any
this
of the
was the
build-up
first
for
space
the
battle
prison.
we've seen.
Yeah, it is. It is.
This is
And it was quick, but it was good.
No,
yeah,
was it? Remember, he took the spaceship in the air with the fireworks, and the TIE fighters were fighting him.
that was still
Was
in
that
the
a space
atmosphere.
battle? That was like a chase.
That was
more
in
like a
space.
chase.
They were out.
No, that was
in
still in the atmosphere. They blew
That's
up.
still space.
on the
Atmosphere.
planet.
Last time I checked, is space.
No, in the atmosphere of the planet. You're still on the planet.
He was.
Let me
Remember,
look
he
that
punched
up.
through that. He punched through it.
They were already dead by then.
What? Yeah, but they're still fighting in space.
No, it was still in the atmosphere of the planet.
Well,
it wasn't in space tech.
So there's a point that the atmosphere blends into space because there's no specific part, but it's kind of like impossible to tell.
you
But
say tomato, I say
regardless,
tomato.
that was the first really interesting space battle where there was actually a conflict. Like both ships were shooting at each other. And I like that. I thought it was really good. So I'm going to give it, I admit, a very high ranking. Well, that's just because I can look back.
I don't
at
know
the
what you're
episode and
smoking,
think
but
it was good.
I want you to pass that on to me next time. All right, Justin, you want to give your score?
No, you go first.
Okay, this is easy, very easy. This is a
know.
6 at best. At
All right.
best,
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that.
this is 6 at best, and the only thing that kept it at 6 instead of 5 was the space scene, like you mentioned. I will admit that is a good scene. I liked it, enjoyed it. I thought a lot of it was very boring and benign. This is a trend for me for this show. It's very boring to me.
The show's not.
I'm sorry. I'm just
No, it's
saying
fine.
Like, I'm not hating on it. I do admit when there are good scenes. I do say there are good scenes, and I think 6 is a pretty respectable score considering what I think of the show so far.
This is not your Star Wars, but
I don't think it's just
that's
no. I know you keep saying that, but here's the thing: I don't think it's just about this is not my Star Wars. I just think that this is not a good show in general. There's a lot of people who agree with me, and there's a lot of people who disagree with me.
I want you
I don't
to
know.
link me to people who don't like it. I legitimately want to watch a bunch of things.
92%
I will say,
on Rotten
if you want, I can
Tomatoes,
send you.
9 out of 10,
I can send you a bunch
9
of
out of
people
10
that
on
tell you.
IGN,
I know, absolutely.
4.3 out of 5 stars.
IGN is a gong show. IGN is a
Okay, I admit, IGN is a mess all the time.
10 out of 10
there's,
IGN.
like my friends in IGN, 10 out of 10 IGN.
I can send you some of the biggest Star Wars critics that are not actually like Star Wars Theory guy. He's got like
Rotten
over
Tomatoes?
a million. Sorry,
The
no.
audience
Forget Rotten
average,
Tomato.
good.
No,
No,
screw
no,
Rotten
but
Tomatoes.
not the
I'm talking
reviews.
about
audience
audience.
average.
audience. I'm talking
Audience
about
average.
fans. I'm talking about
Yes,
YouTubers
that's
who are
what
fans.
That's what Rotten Tomatoes audience is.
Okay, I'm talking
It's
about
every
YouTubers,
man's.
big fans. Star Wars Theory. If you go to him, he's arguably one of the biggest
People who are
Yes,
wanting clicks.
No. He's one of the biggest. He doesn't need clicks. He's one of the biggest YouTubers on Star Wars. He loves Star Wars. He's hardcore Star Wars. And he even said it himself. This is not a good show.
Oh, this guy?
Yeah, he's massive.
Yeah, I don't like his opinions.
Well, I mean, hey, you don't have
I
to like his
rarely-
opinion.
I know,
But
I've
given
I didn't
you,
know that he didn't like it. I
I've
didn't know
given
that
you
he didn't
many,
like it.
many
I'm gonna
reasons
watch-
why this show is not that great.
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna watch a bunch of his videos because I'm going. Oh, I'm done. Disney, whatever.
Anyways, back to this one here. Yeah, 6 out of 10. What do you give it, Justin?
I'm gonna give this one a 9.
You give it a
Yeah.
9. Okay.
Yeah,
That's the
I'm gonna give
largest
this one a-
discrepancy we've had. The largest difference.
Yeah,
I think out of all the episodes.
this one was probably my favorite because again, I know that this is a build-up episode. Obviously,
We've been saying build up since episode 1.
Yeah, because there's been.
I'm telling you
establishment-
right now, episode 12 is going to be a letdown. I'm going to tell you right now, and we'll be back here next week.
Sure.
It'll be a letdown.
So this show goes like this: there's establishment, build-up, payoff. Establishment, build-up, payoff.
None of it's paid off so far.
So far, it's all paid off for me. This
None of
one,
it's been paid
all
off.
of the establishment has been all of the episodes prior, and now it's just a build-up. So they don't need to establish a
For
new
me-
thing because all of the episodes prior has been the establishment. So now it's just taking. Here's all of the things that have been culminating in this entire season. Here's a build-up for what's about to happen. And then
I
think-
don't care about Mon Mothma losing $400,000. Who gives a monkey's uncle about her
I
losing the
love-
Oh no,
$400,000?
it's not about
I
her
think
losing money.
I don't care. I think that
It's about her getting
character is
caught.
boring as hell now.
Oh, it's one of my
It's
favorites.
so boring, that character. I don't care about her family. I don't care about
It's-
her husband, any of
it-
those guys.
it-
I don't
it
care what her
adds-
daughter's religion is. Who cares? I don't care. Boring, boring, boring. I don't care about her sister or cousin, whatever the hell she is, going to the
Val
museum.
is probably the.
I don't care about the assistant in the museum. Who cares?
Oh yeah, Clea.
Wait,
They keep
guys,
talking
wait,
about
wait.
people dying in the war, but I don't see anybody dying yet. I don't see a whole bunch of people dying.
Yeah,
in
where's
any-
the Bothans?
wait.
Like,
Isn't
where
Val
are
supposed to
these
kill-
where are these people that are supposed to die? These 30 people. Where are they?
Wait,
They don't die.
I think we
I
forgot.
don't see
Isn't
any of
Val
them.
supposed to kill Andor?
Yes.
Wasn't she ordered that? I
Yeah.
think that's a while ago. So maybe
Yeah,
she's
well,
looking
that's
to
why
do it.
Clea, or sorry, that's why Cinta is there to wait for Andor because she's being the eyes on
Yeah.
Ferrex.
Oh yeah.
So if he comes back, then either Cinta kills him or then tells Vel. So yeah, that's why Cinta's there.
Okay.
The Mon Mothma stuff is every branch of character story is as important and as interesting to me as the other one. The stuff with Andor, obviously, that's the main thing, but the fact that everything is intertwined and all the Mon Mothma stuff is the least involved with everything else. Everything else has everything to do with everything else. All the Luthen stuff, all the Cinta stuff, all the Andor stuff, all the Daedra stuff, all the Cyril stuff, that's all interconnected. The Mon Mothma stuff is the most on the sidelines and is the most different as far as context and as far as the mood, because it is very like High Republic feeling or high politics, and it's the political side, and that is very much the House of Cards-esque stuff. Yeah, you're gonna fall asleep, wake up. And that is all the political stuff that I was like, fuck yeah, I get in the House of Cards shit. But also too, just it
was great
Again-
for an episode or two, but I don't need to see it drag on forever.
but it's intensifying. We
It's
start
not
off with just
intensifying. Stop
it
saying those
is.
words. Those are not. You should be allowed to say those words. It's not intensifying at all.
I'm one of the
It's-
most intense
it's-
fucking people you
It's
know.
boringfying. I fell asleep every episode so far. Every
Then
single
maybe you
episode
need
I've
to
watched.
start smoking more weed or something. I don't know.
Probably, or cocaine. I don't know. One of those.
But one thing that I do wish that they explained a bit more. She said she took out 100,000 credits every month.
Yes.
I have not seen a use for it yet. I know that
Well, a lot of that was humanitarian efforts, and I think they didn't explain it because it would be boring. Because again, she keeps trying to.
Yeah, but if you don't explain where the money's going for, you don't show where the money's going for, how do you expect the audience to have actual attachment and feel sorry for you? That's
Like,
what I think Nathan's trying to say, and that's what I look at the 400,000. I'm like, who cares? I don't even
For
know
me,
where it's going.
Yeah, for me, it's like I understand the point of them talking about it. It's like because there's this discrepancy, they could figure out that she's actually like the money's not being used.
For
She
all I
doesn't
know,
want
is that
Imperial
400,000
eyes.
going to make
But
lavish
at the-
dinners parties.
At the
right?
same thing, I don't know. Is the money going to like Saw Gerrera? Is it going to Luthen and he's doing something with it? Like,
Nobody knows.
I'm a little, but that's not like a huge deal for me. That's just like a little detail gripe. It's sort of like on the same par as what we discussed earlier.
Well,
It's going to her gambling habits. That's what it's going to.
Well, she's
Gambling
using
habits.
personal family money to fund charitable things that is squashing human rights or alien rights or whatever, people rights in different systems that the Empire is now creating, like internment camps and shit, and like imprisoning planets and stuff. So she is funding the humanitarian efforts. She's becoming the Red Cross. And so for all of these things, that's what she's spending her money on. But the main it's not that she's spending her money on things that they would look down upon. Obviously they would be like, oh, you're going against the Empire because we set up sanctions here and you're spending money to refute those. But it's mainly just she doesn't want Imperial eyes looking at her dealings, which is creating a rebellion.
Yeah, but I think it'd be more dramatic if she was giving it to rebels instead of humanitarian.
I think she is, because remember Luthen early on in one of the earlier episodes, he was asking for money from her.
Sure. Yeah.
I thought that there was some level of her actively funding.
Yeah. No. But it's not like entirely. So like the 400,000 doesn't specifically go to him. But all she's saying is, I have a hole. There's a discrepancy in my bank records, and now the Empire is starting to crack down, which means they will look into everything.
But didn't she know that beforehand of doing this?
No, because they weren't cracking down before.
But how do we know they weren't cracking down? They
because of the heist. Because of
Aldhani.
Yeah,
Aldhani was the catalyst for all of this.
But she could say this was prior to before you guys were cracking down to.
That doesn't matter.
Why
that just means
she can make up a million stories. She's part of the Senate.
They're just going to shoot her and put her in prison.
But why would they connect the 400,000 to this? How would
because anything that doesn't look 100% on board goes to prison. That's
true. Remember, there's with Andor, we saw he wasn't even involved with. There's like no evidence besides he looked suspicious, and some people were like saying some anti-imperial.
Somebody,
things.
yeah,
and he's thrown in for 6 years.
No, he wasn't thrown in for that. There was actually something happening, and he happened to be in the middle of it all.
Yeah,
that's very different than her situation.
No,
you can't compare the two.
They just ran by him.
Also, too,
you can't compare that to her 400,000. That's nothing. Those two.
No, but
you're apples to oranges.
My point is that the Empire is now looking for basically any excuse,
and she can find millions of excuses as a senator.
They're not taking an excuse,
but
they're not taking an excuse.
She's not a regular human being, though. She's part of a Senate.
Do you remember that in episode
to a Senate that they are trying to dissolve.
Yeah. In a new
yes, but she still has pull there.
Looking for excuses.
No, she doesn't. We watched in the episode, everyone shutting down and saying "fuck off," live the Empire. Nobody and everyone turning off their things. They're trying to dissolve the Senate, and like 10 years from now, they 100% do. So this, if anything, is going to be like, oh, you've doing some shady stuff. There's 400,000 credits missing. Okay, well you're out because you're
great.
Not
100%. So what does it matter? She's out anyways.
But that's the thing. They're using any excuse, and she is a perfect person for this to then be like, oh, well, you're not 100% on board here, so we're going to use that to get you the fuck out. And they're going to do that with every senator until they dissolve the Senate. So this is the start of them dissolving the Galactic Senate, is small things like this. And also, when we go back to Cabo, notice that there's nobody on the beach. They arrested and got everyone the fuck out of that vacation plan.
Still, apples to oranges. They're not related.
No, I'm not saying
you guys are talking about petty human beings compared to a senator, and I get okay, fine. You can say there is dissolving. There's still valid ways she could cover her ass. The show doesn't do a good job of conveying that. That's why you guys are thinking right away that she's going to get in trouble because she has to explain $400,000. That's the problem with the show here. It's not intelligently written, because if you're a senator and you should already have these things in place, where if 400,000 is gone missing, she's way smarter than that. And I know that things are happening now because of what happened, but she's smarter than that to realize, okay, if I take $400,000 and all eyes are watching anyways, prior to all this, I have to explain this to my. She has to also explain to her husband where the 400,000 is.
He doesn't give a shit. He still gets to drink.
How do you know that though? You don't know that. You don't know.
Yeah,
that.
he's in the entire show has been showing that he does not give a shit. All he cares about that he lives in a fancy place and then he gets to make jokes with
I
people
don't think
because she
that's-
keeps being like,
I
here's
don't
all
think
these
that's true at
things.
all.
He doesn't care about anybody what they
I think
believe
he
in or what
does.
they're working
I think
for.
he does. He just cares about himself and his daughter more than her.
He
And
cares about himself.
he's quick to turn her and let her get loose, right? And screw
Yeah.
her over. So I'm sure she's aware of that. She's
Mhm.
also reached out to that guy, her friend, to find solutions,
Yep.
right? So she's already thinking of a finding a way solution. And he could be that solution, right? And the show, if they're smart, they should have an opt out for her already. We're at the last episode now, and she's still worried about her $400,000. I just
She's
don't think,
just trying to get any prying eye. She's trying to.
and she should have already had it by now.
This just happened like 4 days prior. The Eldani heist and everything changed. It turned from a galactic republic to a fascist regime because now they're cracking down on everything and they have all of the power to do anything they want. And nobody's listening to her in the Senate. She has no pull in the Senate. So now
Yes, we've
she's
already
like,
established she has no pull in the Senate. I'm not even talking about. I'm talking about her having a excuse for the $400,000. I can't even believe I'm even talking about this because I could care less about her and the $400,000. But what I'm trying to say is the show is not even smart enough to give her an out because they probably don't even know how to write an out for her.
Well, keep in mind that it's not like she is missing $400,000 in total.
She just has to explain where it went.
No.
but they won't.
She's
They're not
missing
going
a
to take an
lot
explanation.
more. Yeah, she's missing a lot more right now. But she managed to pull money from other things and like fill up those gaps. But there's one portfolio.
But
And
at the end
that's
of the day,
the 400,000.
but does it matter at the end of any of this, anyways? Because we already know she still survives all.
Have you ever
this.
been audited, Elvin?
No, hold on. What does it matter any of this right now? Anyways, we're arguing something that doesn't matter because it's a prequel. We already know she's fine. She's gonna escape and go with the rebels.
Well, we don't know.
So what is this? None of this
She's
matters.
fine.
Who
We know
cares about 400,000?
we know
It's
that
not
she's
even a
not
problem.
fine.
What?
We know that she's not fine. We know
What
that
if
she
something
becomes
happens
Is she
one
not
of the
alive?
most.
Is she not alive in Rogue One?
Yes.
If your whole
but
Is she
family-
we
not
know-
alive in the trilogy
Wait.
that comes out?
If your whole family's killed, then
I don't
are
give
you
a
really
shit about
fine?
the whole family. What I'm talking about is
She's
she
not
not
fine.
alive? Is
Yes,
she not
she's
alive? There you go.
We know she's
so
not
why do I give a
fine
shit about our
because
$400,000 then?
because that is the catalyst to her becoming the
doesn't
one of
matter.
the. Shut the fuck up. Let me talk.
I don't give
That
a
is
shit
the
about
catalyst.
this show. This show sucks.
Oh my god!
For those
were
of you
And I
just
don't even
tuning
want
in.
it back for season 2. It's hot garbage.
Wow, you went from
This show is one of the worst shows Star Wars has ever made, and I'm
You
going to go
are
off on
an
it right now
insane person.
because you told me to shut the fuck up, and I will not shut the fuck up. This show is hot garbage.
I'm gonna
Disney
mute my mic.
sucks ass, woke as hell, and I'm sick and tired of having crappy writing being okay. Oh, it's okay. We'll find excuses. We make up half the stories for them when we talk about this show. Okay? The worst show out of this was Boba Fett, and now this one is right along with it. I've tried to be very patient with this show and really try to like it, but it is hot garbage, and I do not care for this show at all. There we go. Thank you very much for my time. Go ahead, Justin.
I don't think he likes the show.
I disagree, but that's okay.
I will not be back for season 2, but you guys are more than welcome to do season 2 because I know
will.
both of you are
gonna be
very
great.
passionate about it, and all the best to you guys for that. But I will not be back for season 2 for this show.
Gentlemen,
That's
so
okay.
we've got our ratings.
You want to
down. I
not
think we
watch
should
the
go.
next episode?
I'm gonna watch it because I'm gonna watch and laugh my ass off because
Sure.
also it'll give me a great nap as well.
I think we should move on to Tales of the Jedi because we still need to get to that.
No, we should still
I
talk
need
about
another
$400,000, which who cares about a character that's still gonna be alive?
I think we need
Oh,
to get
I
through
don't
to
care
something,
about this stupid character anymore. And her $400,000. It's so annoying. Millions of excuses why it's important for her. We have a chat in there that's been blocked.
Yeah, I got rid of it.
Okay,
he
thank you.
I don't know if you saw it.
Perfect timing for that thing to watch. And if anybody's listening to us afterwards, yes, I did pop off because I'm sick of it. And you can at me all you want. I'll pop off on you too.
Oh no, sexfine.biz
Yeah,
was
we were just
blocked.
talking about that. Ah.
Oh, Justin, did you see the messages or no? Did you just
No,
walk
let's-
back
I
and you
didn't
just see
know.
it? Oh, we're not gonna go into it. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
Justin,
yeah.
Justin comes back and he sees that on the side. He hears Alvin still talking about the show. He's like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Oh man. Okay, let's talk about the shorts that we had from Jon
Tales of the
Favreau
Jedi, yeah.
and Filoni.
Gigante.
Holy shit balls.
So the first 2 episodes, it was a snooze.
Hold on.
fest.
I want to say something that'll piss off Elvin.
Okay.
I like this show more than The Mandalorian.
You can go delete this guy out of here right now. Yeah, well, you like garbage, so what do I expect? What do you expect, right? So
Justin blocked.
You're right. You're right.
Garbage is one man's trash, another man's treasure, right?
Exactly.
We
There you
could
go.
all agree on one thing at least.
Yeah.
All agree on one thing. That this is better than the Book of Boba. And
Obi-Wan.
I
will
think,
agree
yeah,
with you with that,
it's better.
yes.
I also think it's better than Obi-Wan.
It's way better than Obi-Wan.
Oh,
Come on,
Obi-Wan-
Alvin, this is not on the same
Elvin.
level of I'm just gonna hide a little girl under my
Obi-Wan
giant
was
trench coat and just
horrible,
walk
and
through a
I was
hangar.
on
Yes.
record as saying that. Roger. Hi, Roger. Oh my god.
Thank you, ROGR.
Oh man.
Roger.
Roger.
Fucking hell.
You just missed an epic pop off, but
Yeah. Jesus.
I
that
think
was
this.
one of the
I don't
ones.
think it's better than Boba Fett. I think it's on the same level as Boba
I
Fett.
think this
No,
is
it's better
way
than
better than
Boba
Boba.
I
Fett
think-
was here's the
Again, can I say my opinion, gentlemen?
You've just
I
been
know,
saying it for the
you
last
guys-
10
Oh, what?
minutes.
What? You
You
don't
don't- you
want
don't
us
have-
to interrupt you randomly?
Yeah, no, I don't want you to interrupt me.
Okay.
So listen,
I'm
yeah, it's
listening.
better than Obi-Wan by not a lot. Obi-Wan was garbage, so was this. Is it better than Boba Fett? I think it's the same level. The only reason I say that is the last 2 episodes were saved by Mando. Other than that, if those 2 episodes you remove it, it'd probably be better than Boba. So that's where I rank them. And the fact that I'm ranking them so close to each other tells
You
you that
didn't.
all 3 of these shows are trash.
You didn't.
Book of Boba has got too many issues for me to have them on the same level. Boba Fett is not supposed to be I'm all about respect. It's all about the respect. You know, what's
Yes,
his name?
no, I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
saying
not
it.
It's not
I
like
didn't
that.
say, I didn't say
He
it was
murders-
great. I didn't say it was great.
I've got comics where he murders children.
But it had more things
money.
going for it than this show did.
I'm gonna make you. I don't even need to argue because you argue with yourself on this point. If you go back to your scores and what you said about those episodes, you did not score anything more than a 5.
No, that's a lie. Go back and you can check my scores. They were above 5. I know my
The
scores.
entire- The
Boba
entire
Fett?
every popcorn
100%.
chicken,
You're lying on that.
all we did was talk shit about.
No, we did talk
the
shit.
pace-
I will admit that.
Yeah,
We did talk shit about that. I will admit that. But my scores are not all 5s.
I didn't say
Especially
all
the last
5.
2 episodes. Come on, man. There's no way there were 5s. No
No.
way.
It's way worse.
God, they
Okay.
killed off Cad
I'll
Bane
go
way
back
too-
and I'll pull them
way
and
too
I'll show
early.
you. Yeah. Anyways,
So, Tales of
we're-
the Jedi,
Tales of the
Tales of the
So-
Jedi, yes.
So
a month and a half after it was released.
yeah, I
Elvin
fell
and
asleep with
Nathan-
that. I watched the first 2 episodes and I'm like, what is this garbage?
Let's
I
just
don't
talk
care.
about the whole thing as a whole. Let's not go episode.
Yeah,
by
yeah.
episode.
I'm not gonna go into
Everyone's seen it. Yeah.
But after that, Nathan, you were right. It did ramp up. It was
It
really
does.
good, very interesting. I did like this. This whole thing was basically. I was telling Justin this before we got on. Is this whole thing is like plugging in little gaps that were there that our minds were wondering what it was,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it sort of filled in. It's not like it's like a leaky pipe. You put a little bit of bandage on it. It's like that. It stops the water from spewing out.
I don't.
And
I don't necessarily like. They didn't fill plot holes. It was just little things.
No,
that they-
not potholes. Like
that they-
our curiosity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just
Our
little things that they pointed out, and you were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's what he was doing before. Oh, that's how that happened. Oh, that's interesting. Cool."
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I was saying to Alvin before, I really enjoy the fact that they made them like little 10-minute, 15 minutes little things, and they didn't go like, "Oh, we're gonna
Yeah.
make these half-hour episodes," because then they would have been bad. Because it would have been like, "Oh, that's really cool," and then 20 minutes was like, "I don't fucking care." So it was just like, here's a little cool thing that we thought of to like give a little more context to this. And you're like, oh, that's cool. And they're like, we're going to jump ahead 20 years. And you're like, okay. And then they're like, here's another cool thing. And you're like, oh, that is cool. And then they're like, that's it. And you're like, oh, that's nice.
What was your favorite episode during the whole? I don't want to call it a season. The whole out of all the shorts, what was your favorite episode?
Elvin, go.
Okay, me. I'm gonna say the one with the Ahsoka where she sees, I believe it's Padme in the funeral. Is it Padme? I want to say it's Padme.
That was Padme.
It's Padme.
Okay,
Yep.
that was my favorite episode because it connected when she said that was my friend. I'm like, oh, she knew her. Oh shit, I didn't know that. Right? Like she.
Then we get Jimmy Smits.
She actually knew both of them, Anakin and Padme.
Yeah.
So now she has a better understanding of who Anakin is rather than Darth Vader.
Yep.
And if there's anyone to pull him out of the dark, it could have been her too instead of Luke.
Yep.
Right. So it gives me a whole new perspective on her relationship with these two OGs. Right.
Yeah.
So
and also,
I like that.
And also too the Bad Batch stuff with Ahsoka. Wait, was she in the Bad Batch?
She was in the final season of Clone Wars.
Clone Wars. Oh, right. The final season of Clone Wars. That also too kind of flushed out when she ran into him after the fact too, and then Obi-Wan just ripped off pretty much all of the important scenes, and we're like, no, Obi-Wan did that too. But it absolutely it puts Ahsoka in, and not in a bad way, but it does. Because like the original trilogy, it was like Luke is his only saving grace, and like he's the only way that he could possibly overcome the dark side and come to this. But like it's cool that all these extra little subsequent pieces of content are showing like Ahsoka could have been that for him too. And flushing out that relationship is something I think that makes Darth Vader as a character way more complex.
Yeah,
because it's not just like in the prequel trilogy, all we see is just like, oh, he's a dude who his mom died and then he falls to the dark side. Oh, he's evil. But it adds so much more complexity and nuance to the fact that like he had a relationship with his Padawan, and like they were like brother, sister, father, daughter kind of thing. Like there was a kinship.
It was a father daughter to be almost.
Yeah.
And
there was a kinship there, and then too to see like the live action Ahsoka stuff, it adds way more brevity to all the stuff. And then she starts working with Luke, and like it just adds way more gravity to all that shit too.
And then remember she said, "I knew your father," kind of thing.
Yeah. Or
now
or
that
no, you remind me of him.
Yeah,
remind me
watching
of your
this,
father.
you're like, yeah, it just adds so much more depth to that.
Yeah.
That sentence that she used with Luke.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it also sets up for her own show. Does it not?
Yep.
Does it not give her more gravity of
Absolutely.
who she is?
Yep.
And this is all Filoni. This is all his genius mind working.
100%.
Yeah.
He's like, this is a character I created, and I'm gonna make sure she has a well-rounded history, so that I can bring up things in her show, right?
And even too, like because again, like even like Ahsoka is 100% a fan's character, because like she's not a live action person. Like a person who knows the live action shows doesn't know Ahsoka. She is born from the animation. She was in 2 episodes of Boba Fett, and even then, like the only reason to watch Boba Fett are for the 2 Mandalorian episodes, because it flushes out Ahsoka more. You get to see Ahsoka in live action.
Also, Cad Bane.
Oh, he was very
Sure.
late, man.
No, but I
Sure.
mean, hey, it's his first live.
Sure. But
Yeah.
like that's it. But and then he dies, or apparently he doesn't because the thing's beeping or whatever in there. The Cad Bane gets his own show.
Well, Elvin, you're muted.
Oh no, Elvin's muted. He can't talk. Anyway,
He broke his mic.
oh no. Anyway, so Andor,
okay.
this episode, the fact that they can't find the 400,000 credits, it just means that the Empire is going to look into her books, and that's what she doesn't want, because then that they find that, and then they kick her out, and then they start crushing down on her, and then she becomes one of the most wanted people in the universe, and that's when that pushes her to then leave and start the rebellion, because then the IRS, the Imperial IRS, starts looking down on her, and that's why she starts the rebellion. I think it's beautiful.
Well, moving
Nathan,
back
do you
to,
concur?
Well, we don't know if that happens yet.
That's true.
But I do think that there's a good chance that that's how they're going to find her out, and that they're going to, I don't know, force her into openly supporting the rebellion.
Yeah,
It's either her doing that or her being arrested. But anyways, before I don't want to, we should stick to Tales of the Jedi.
yeah, I know.
I don't know why.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, wire's a little loose here.
No worries.
I think I banged on the table too.
So sorry, Elvin. Your favorite episode was that one with Ahsoka. Justin, what's your favorite episode?
My favorite one was, I think, seeing younger Qui-Gon.
Oh, that was a good one too, man.
Also, so
without the beard, or
with the beard, so like younger, not youngest. And also when Qui-Gon was his Padawan in like the second or third episode or whatever, that the voice actor was Liam Neeson's son.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Who voiced young Qui-Gon.
When see the young Qui-Gon?
When they go to the Senator's planet and they've got the big droid, and episode 2, yeah. So super young Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
That's Liam Neeson's son who voices him.
Wow, awesome.
So that was super cool. The next episode we get. Oh no! Next episode is like when Qui-Gon's dead, right?
No, Qui-Gon's there. So what happens? That one's my favorite episode. It's been a couple of weeks, so I could mix some stuff up.
Yeah.
But my favorite episode is the next one, where it starts off with Qui-Gon being, he's older. It's right during the events of the Phantom Menace.
Yes, that was my favorite episode.
And he tells the council. We see him just after he tells the council that he encountered a Sith, and everyone's like, "No, I don't. We're not believing you, but we just don't think it happened." But Dooku, who at the time had been telling the council, "No, this is going to happen. This is happening. We need to be careful. We need to watch out." And the council's ignoring it, and Dooku is like, "This is my Padawan. Be careful. They're ignoring it. I believe you." And then what happens? It turns out he was right, and his past Padawan gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
And now everyone else is just like, "Oh, we didn't make a mistake, but this is a learning lesson."
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I love, because like we've always been shown like, the Jedi, they are the end all be all, they are righteous, they are correct. Like it's very much like going, I love how the Jedi as a whole have evolved and become more complex and are more like the Catholic Church, and it's like the Crusades, where you see like, their intentions are correct, but they're not, like, it literally is like Catholicism versus Nazis. And it's just like both are really fucking flawed, but like one has a good idea. And then the Jedi fall because it self implodes because of their like dogmatic belief system and their self-inflicted like bigotry, almost, where it's just like, you can't love because this leads to jealousy, which leads to hate. And it's just like, no, you need to love to be able to feel, to be able to have a reason to fight for, to be able to inflict justice and have that righteousness in you, instead of just blindly going, this is good, you are bad, fuck you. And
which, before you can that exact point, I just want to quickly touch on that, which I don't know if Disney's retconned it, but Luke, when he restarted the Jedi, he allowed people to have relationships, or at least in one of the stories, he allowed people to have relationships because he saw what it did to his father. And he's like, I don't want this to happen to anyone else. They just need to learn, if death is not the end. If they die, they're now one with the Force now, and how to handle that, which is in like reality, that's a lot healthier way to go about a relationship too.
Yeah.
No, Ray will do that now. Luke doesn't matter.
Oh yeah,
anymore.
sorry, you're right.
That's right, yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'll quickly finish off.
she makes out with Kylo Ren
Yeah.
for
Now
no
you can hang out with
fucking reason.
Now you can hang out with Siths as well. You guys, don't discriminate against Siths. They're people too.
But what really got me, this might be episode 4, but I think it's still episode 3. Oh, anyways, what really got me was we see Dooku's fall. He's already now, he sees the Jedi have got flawed judgment. It leads to the death of his Padawan. And it really leads to that part where in his mind, you can really see the Jedi are flawed. The Republic is flawed. There are issues that need to be resolved. And you could almost feel like, I don't want to say trauma because it's not, but it's just that deep loss and the council not even really recognizing that. And that's kind of why he goes over to, I don't even want to say the dark side because he does lean into that, but he kind of is different from when Dooku fell to the dark side when compared to Anakin. When Anakin does it, he's going to kill all the children. He's going to eyes are going to change color. He goes fully into it. When Dooku does it, it's because I don't think that the Senate, the Republic and the Jedi are doing the right thing anymore. I think something else needs to happen to do the right thing.
Well, he's the second person that we've seen leave the Jedi on well, actually, no, I think he's the first that we've seen leave the Jedi on good terms. Because like Ahsoka leaves, but she's like kind of excommunicated, and they're
she
like,
doesn't want to be a
leave...
Jedi anymore.
Exactly, but she's if you leave, whatever. He leaves on his own terms, and he's like, I got family on my planet, and like I just inherited the planet, so I'm gonna go do that. So then he becomes Count Dooku. So he's like, which is I love
the cereal.
Yes. Well, he becomes Count Dooku because he played Dracula. So it's a
blue milk and cereal. Oh, Disney!
No, it's a reference. So,
wasn't he also a count in that movie in like off the coast of Scotland, the cult one? Do you guys know the one? It's like a horror thriller.
So I don't do those movies.
Somerset or something like that.
No,
not Somerset. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah, no, there's.
So he played Dracula a fucking 1,000 times.
That's hilarious.
So like the fact that he became a count was obviously a reference to that. What's his name? Christopher Lee. Also, if you heard his band, he's got a metal band. Christopher Lee has a fucking metal band, and it's bitching.
Very nice.
I watched that in a class about medieval history because his songs are about usually like what's it? He has a song about Charlemagne and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, so obviously like he became Count Dooku because he was Count Dracula. So it was a reference to that. But it was just like he left the order. His reasoning behind it was because he doesn't trust it and he doesn't think it's a system that works. But he left it. His excuse for that was, I need to go take care of the family business kind of stuff, and I'm not invested in this. So they let him leave on good terms, and he left, and he was allowed to still come and fucking hang out at the Jedi Temple. He was still allowed to keep his lightsaber. He was still allowed to, roam the halls, which is why he was allowed to go into the libraries and stuff. And then we see him in the show change the records and then blame Sifo-Dyas or use his like login code or whatever to change or to remove Camino from the records. And yeah, like just little things like that. It was really cool to see like those, as you said, Elvin, like not holes, but like little streams of thought filled in and be like
curiosity.
That's how it is. Because there was so much not over explaining. There was so much. The prequel trilogy just was an information dump, and it was just like,
and there's cracks in that armor.
Yeah, it was just like, Master Sifo-Dyas, he ordered the clones, and then you're just like, who the fuck is that?
Who's that?
And then you're like, it's Camino, and you're like, where the fuck is that? And then you're like, Jango Fett, and you're like, Boba
I'm
Fett,
sorry?
his dad, Boba Fett's dad. Okay, cool. I know that guy. And then they're like, anyway, we're going to talk about 15 other people we never fucking heard of. And now it's taken, what, 25 years
I
to be
know.
like, oh, this is a
Well,
guy. And you're like,
kudos-
oh, he had hair.
Kudos for Filoni for saying, hey, even though it's been a long time, I'm still going to do this because going forward, it'll probably serve us better,
Mhm.
especially the Ahsoka episodes.
Yeah.
I think that it was brilliant in their minds to do that because her show coming up, and I'm sure she's going to show up in other things because
Mhm.
they didn't just cast Rosario Dawson to do one show and go
No.
away. That's a great talent, and they're going to use her in probably multiple ways, whether it be cameos in other shows or not. So
Yeah.
having a well-rendered character like that is, I think it's a great idea for him to do that kind of things.
Well, do you know what was a really nice thing? It was a tiny detail that they didn't need to do, but they did. I might mispronounce the name. Yaddle, is it?
Yeah, Yaddle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see Yaddle in episode 1, but never in
Yep.
episode 2 on the council. There's no explanation. There's no reason
Yeah.
behind it. It's just like, let's just not make the puppet. But now we actually have a reason why she's not on the council, and it's because she's murdered by Dooku in this awesome fight.
Yeah.
And it was voiced by, what was it, Bryce Dallas Howard? Who
Was
she the
it
one who-
really? Wow, she's one of the directors for Mando.
She is, yeah. And I
Obi.
think Obi-Wan too. Oh wait, no, I think she directed some of the good ones.
I think she was in Boba as well.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
By the way, the movie I was referring to earlier about Christopher Lee playing a count is The Wicker Man. It's not actually a count.
Oh,
it's
Wicker
Lord,
Man.
Still a noble. Yeah,
Yeah.
The Wicker Man.
Never watched it. Never will.
And it's on Summer Isle, not Somerset. It's Summer Isle.
Okay. Somerset is the accent of the aliens that we see in this episode of
Yeah.
Andor. Oh, combine harvesters. Yo, Elvin, you should listen to a band called the Wurzels.
The Wurzels.
The Wurzels. They're like this folk I don't know, just Somerset farmer band. They got songs about combine harvesters.
Oh, I like those.
And there be a blackbird. I
love it now.
He
Is it on
be up
Spotify?
young Wurzel tree, and I be after he.
Is it on
It's
Spotify?
fucking bitching. Probably. Just look up the Wurzel's Blackbird, and you'll have a fucking time.
Sweet. I love weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I say weird.
I
but-
sees he, and he sees I. Bugger if I don't get him. With a girt big stick, I'll knock him down. Blackbird, I'll have thee.
It reminds me of the fisherman in Family Guy.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's just like campfire drinking songs. Like that's all they write, and they're fucking rad.
Good for them. I love
Yeah.
it. All right. Anything else?
Well, I guess we still have to rank them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
Can we
let's
just
just-
give it
let's
a
just
give it
rank
a whole as a
the
whole?
The whole
thing.
whole
Yeah.
season
Yeah, let's just
ranking.
give it a whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like give it a whole, but give it a whole.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you
a
go
whole
first.
ranking.
I know
Yes.
what show. I know what show I should shove down the hole. But anyways, I digress.
Digress is something you do not do.
I know I don't. I try. Nathan, you want to give your score?
Okay. Well, I won't speak for anyone else. I like this a lot. There were episodes that I did not like. That I like the very first Ahsoka episode. I think you could have just removed that, and there would have been no difference.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
agree with you.
I know why it's there, but
Yeah, I have to give it that strong beginning of her.
Yep.
Right?
yeah, that was the kid.
But I don't
That
think
was-
it's necessary.
No, yeah, I agree. That was, I think, the kid episode.
Yeah. I liked how short everything was. Usually I like to have, like a nice interesting story, but the way they did it was the main message, because they're trying to give you a message in each one. And for the first part of it, it's Dooku, how he went to the dark side. And it starts off with issues with the Senate, then it's issues with the Jedi, and then it's everything collapses.
Yeah, so they just jumped to major plot scenes. That's all they did.
Yeah.
And I thought
Which
that
is
was
cool,
a
which
good way
is
of doing
cool,
it. Yeah, because we all remained engaged with it. Well, not Alvin during his first watching of the first 2 episodes, but when he got to the good part.
Well, I mean, you warned me. You warned me as well. You're like, just get through the first and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't even hate the second one. I thought it was good. I admit it was not, to my opinion, it was not as interesting as the other later ones, but I still enjoyed it. The first one I did not enjoy. But Ahsoka's story as well, I thought it was well told. We know Ahsoka well. We've seen her a lot, and we didn't actually need to see that much more of her. I thought Dooku's story was more interesting, to be honest, because we've never seen anything of Dooku before. However,
I agree.
The way that Ahsoka's story was told, excluding the first episode, was interesting, and I've also looked at clips comparing. You've all seen, so you know the episode with the last episode of this season, or out of the shorts, where she's doing the quick protecting herself from all the blaster bolts, whatever they're called. You actually see her use that same move many times later on in the Clone Wars. Yeah, and you remember, like, this is the importance of it, and Anakin's pushing her so hard because he's considered, besides Yoda, to be the best swordsman, like out of anyone in the Jedi Order. Which is it's a lot bigger. The Order is massive, and we don't actually see everyone in it, but apparently the Order is really, really big. There's a lot of Jedi, and most of them are not very good with a lightsaber. It's just we usually see generals.
Sorry, quick question. I can't remember who that is fighting her at the end in the village with the skull mask.
That's an Inquisitor. That's a new Inquisitor.
It's a new person. Yeah.
Okay, I've seen that somewhere, and I can't remember where.
It looks like a Diablo mask. Like it looks.
Is it from the video games?
No, it's not. That
new character.
That's one of the first times we've seen like an organic mask for an Inquisitor. They're usually all metal. Yeah, it looks like what are the Plague Doctor?
Yes,
very Plague Doctor mask-esque, but it's a new character.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about him dying right away?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I thought that was fine.
I was conflicted. I hated that because he was so cool. The voice was cool. The way he was threatening was great. But he died quickly.
Yeah, because they had to replace her with Reva. So he had to die quickly.
And the thing is, I was okay with him dying, and the fact that Ahsoka, it just shows Ahsoka was trained by the best of the best.
Yeah.
Like intensive training. She's phenomenal at what she does. So she's better than him. Even though he was trained by Vader, which is the same person, Vader was not at his peak for lightsaber dueling at that stage. And so it makes sense that Ahsoka would just easily overpower this Inquisitor. However, at the same time, he's so cool. I would have loved to see him later. But sorry, I know. I'll give my final ranking now. I'm going to give the whole series a 9. There were a couple parts that I certainly think I should bring down the whole series, but I enjoyed the parts with Dooku a lot, and the parts with Ahsoka, even though we've seen her a lot, it still remained engaging and useful information. So I'm going to give the whole thing a high rating of a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I would give it, like an 8.5, 9-ish or whatever. Like, it wasn't mind-blowing, like, oh, fuck, you gotta watch it. It was very much supplementary material for fans of Star Wars. And while I Alvin, your points of like how much it flushed out and gave gravity to a lot of the Ahsoka, Vader, or Anakin stuff, I think I'll probably rewatch. When I do rewatch a lot of Star Wars stuff, I think I'll have that in mind and take that.
And I think that's the purpose of it all too.
Yeah. I think so too. This whole the idea of this is supplementary to flush out a bit more things. And I normally am like, fuck, I wish this was a mini series. I wish this was longer. This shouldn't be a half hour. This should be 45 minutes.
But it was perfect, was it not?
It was the perfect length. While there were a couple episodes that were just like,
they're like YouTube shorts.
Exactly. It was just like there was a couple episodes that were just like, whatever. But like they still had value and they still added to things. But like there were just episodes that I didn't really care about. But I liked the fact that they jumped. I like the fact that they jumped around time a lot. And they were like, now we'll go 20 years. Now we'll go 3 years. Now we'll go 10 years. Now we'll go whatever. And then it wasn't. They knew that they didn't need to string things together in a not that it wasn't cohesive, but like they're just like, here are cool things that are important to these characters that you didn't know. And it was just like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is cool. Oh, where are we? Oh, this guy. Okay, I know where I am. And I loved that, the Yaddle thing. Like, that was just one little thing. Is like, oh, they're not in the episode 2. Nobody wondered why Yaddle wasn't in there ever. But then they were like, oh, here's a reason why Yaddle wasn't in there. And you're like, cool. Also, we see a young Kanan Jarrus. We see young Caleb.
So really?
When Ahsoka is being trained or going through her trials or whatever in the dojo or whatever, we see
the little
young
boy,
Caleb. The boy
Oh,
who has the
yeah.
line. That's Caleb.
Yeah, I remember that. Nice.
Doesn't that blow your mind? Does that blow your mind? Right?
Just little things like that. It's
That's
just
all
like,
we asked for. That's all
Yeah.
we asked for.
And they don't do it like trying to suck it to fans too. They're just trying
We're
to roll
suckers for lightsabers.
Yeah, but it was just like, they didn't add in the like, no, Caleb Jarrus, the leader of the rebellion in the future. Don't say that. Just calm down. They were just like, here's a boy. Anyway, next thing, and then it's like, oh, there's Kenan. Oh, cool, that's that guy. And then when she gets into the ship at the very end with, was it Rex or was it
when she walks into the hangar with all the people?
no?
Yeah, it is at the end, Rex.
So no, when she gets into the ship.
Oh, you mean to leave? No, the senator for Alderaan.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. Princess Leia's adoptive father.
Oh no, Jimmy Smith. No. She gets into a ship with one of the clone troopers. I think it was Rex.
It's Rex.
Yeah.
It's Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just seeing like, oh, they're still hanging out. Okay, cool.
But
and it's just
Rex, didn't Rex also say to one of the troopers, which is one of the Bad Batch guys too?
Yes. Yeah. Because like we know his inhibitor chip malfunctions.
So Echo, and who are the other ones again?
Fives. But he's dead.
No, Fives is dead. No, the Bad Batch guys. There was Fixer.
Oh, Bad Batch.
Rex, Tech,
because he says to one of the troopers, and that's one of the guys from the Bad Batch.
Can't remember their names.
Let's see. I don't care about the weak way. Show me that. No. How is this so difficult to?
Well, while you're doing that, what did you give it? Your score?
I'd say an 8.5. Like it did exactly what it was wanting to do, which was just be supplementary information. And yeah, there was a couple, maybe I think really only the first episode that was weak for me. But it was still like an important episode and it still did some stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed watching it. And again, I love the fact that it was all just short episodes because they were just like, here's a story next. And if it had been like, here's 8 episodes that are all a half hour, I think we would have all hated it because it would have been like, here's one interesting thing and then 20 minutes of bullshit.
Yeah, 20 minutes of the walking around town on the market.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I thought this was just the right amount.
Mm-hmm.
The length and everything, this interesting topics. Like, I didn't give a crap about Count Dooku. Now I do because he was a good guy, but he was conflicted. And is he wrong? No, he's not wrong because that's his way of thinking, and it makes you think too. Are the Jedi also have issues within their house, right? How they conduct business. So it makes you think they're not so shiny and nice as we all think they are. They have got issues as well. So yeah, I do appreciate the character now more because of this show. And that's why I give it a higher mark because it made me change what I thought of a character. It gave it life. And then Ahsoka, it gave so much life to her background. The fact that she knew both of them, Anakin and Padme, it's so, to me, it's such a huge thing because now she's talking to Luke now, and then she could talk to whoever is the future of the Skywalkers and say, I knew at the beginning the OGs who they were. This is not what they would wanted. I knew Anakin before he turned Darth Vader, right? So I think if you could do that with such short stories, that's really good then. It didn't take a whole season to show us all these things. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for me.
Also, there was one other.
Do you want this to continue?
I want them to do more little things like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what was like the thing that they did before this? It was essentially like the Animatrix, where they had a bunch of different animators and
Oh yeah.
You know, somebody said online today, why don't they do a short on General Grievous?
yeah. Well, that's the thing too. So also that reminded me, yeah, the Count Dooku stuff. Like in episode 2, we see him when he's talking to Obi-Wan, and through that entire movie and all the movies, it's just like, oh, Count Dooku's a bad guy. And then his discussion with Obi-Wan, when you watch it, he's not a bad guy in that. He's warning him. He's like, yo, there's a Sith Lord in your fucking Senate, and I am trying to build this central, what's the CIS called? The Confederation of Independent Systems.
Yep.
He's one of the people who started the rebellion. Let's call it that. Because like while he is in league with Sidious, he still like knows that shit, like the entire system needs to be burnt down, and they need to figure it, because they're like, the Jedi's corrupt. This is a Sith Lord. He's fucked. And he's like, I'm gonna build this army and start this so that we can then burn everything down and then start from the ground up. And obviously he gets corrupted by the dark side because he's got Sidious.
Yeah.
But like the conversation that he was having with Obi-Wan, he was just like, you'll find that the Jedi are fucked, dog. And I wish we would have met beforehand. And there's like little hints of just like, you know, your master spoke so highly of you, and I wish we would have met on better terms, but like shit's fucked, and we're trying to fix it. So
well,
yeah,
I love that, especially when we see in the Tales of the Jedi, we see that moment where Qui-Gon is just talking about Obi-Wan. He's like, he's so good. I can't wait for you to meet him. And
I was like, I'm excited to meet him too, buddy. Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, I know what happens. This is tearing me. This tearing me apart. Not that droid scene at the start of the Andor episode we just watched. No, this moment tore me apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the tragedy of it.
Yeah.
I would love to see maybe a Padme story.
Sure.
I wouldn't mind seeing maybe that. I don't know, maybe an episode or two of that.
You wouldn't like it. It's all politics. She's a politician.
Yeah, probably.
But
no,
hey,
she's smarter than that. She stays out of the politics.
That's true. We're getting a Studio Ghibli Star Wars thing, so that's could
cute
probably
cute and cuddly.
No, that's dark and hits with hard.
They're gonna do a Grogu dark.
No. Studio Ghibli, like, usually starts with a death of a parent, and then
they have Grogu as one of the characters.
Shows a child like overcoming adversity and like going against dark forces and shit, and like Studio Ghibli stuff is fucking heavy usually.
Oh,
but
we could get Grogu backstory.
Sure.
I kind of like. Cool. Do you know what? I like how mysterious he is right now, though.
I do too.
That's why I loved seeing Grogu.
No, I need to know
episode
Yoda
2
was
of The Mandalorian.
I need to know Yoda was messing around with Yodel.
Oh, also, Bryce Dallas Howard directed the Return of the Mandalorian in Boba Fett. So she directed the best episode.
Nice. I think my dog could direct a great episode of Mandalorian. Just shove in Mandalorian and boom.
Yeah.
It sells itself.
Yep.
Pedro Pascal sells itself.
Agreed.
Anything else before we sign off? No?
This was a very, very active and engaged episode.
It was very poetic. Yes, that's the way I would put it.
So it's like poetry.
Roger.
So many things to take from this episode and just snip up so many shorts.
There's a lot of shorts you can make from this. Roger.
Yep.
Roger. All right.
Roger.
Say bye, guys.
Okay, bye, Internet.
Bye.